Go. You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Welcome to Film Club. My voice is good. Everything is good. We're not going to have a glitch in the matrix this evening. I hope everybody's good. A little bit of fun there. So, Jay, I've got to say, did you watch the correct movie?
Yeah, the Mark Wahlberg one, the best one, obviously.
As a new, yeah, I'm guessing because you are New Kids on the Block fan, so Marky Mark all the way, isn't it? I bet Sandy used to be.
Nope.
Must have been.
No.
It was Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, yeah.
No.
No, not at all. That's a good. Anyway,
I was a hair metal chick. Remember, I was a Nirvana chick in the. Well, that's not hair metal, but into the grunge, like the 90s. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is the Italian Job, a very British staple. It's of course one of my picks. It's got to be. Now, Sandy, I'm guessing it's a long time since you watched it. It was for me as well, so I hadn't watched it for a while. I must say, I was again pleasantly surprised. Jay, your first this version,
yes, this is my first of this version. Yep, the original.
So I think this is one of our. We've got Michael Caine on our list a few times.
Yeah, second one so far.
Michael Caine. Yeah, so this is his first one, and he's a lead role of a very young Sir Michael Caine in this. I was glad I put it on the list because I said I probably hadn't seen it in over 10 years easily. So it was sitting down it's a silly, I'm guessing this is our closest comedy, isn't it? This has got to be
our comedy.
Yeah, it's like a comedy caper.
I think I'd put it in the realm of comedy for sure, because they definitely go for a humor aspect. 100%. It's not yet more standard comedy, but it's definitely in that genre, a hybrid of comedy and action, heist, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Now
I have to tell you though, after not seeing it for so many years, I appreciated it this time for a whole different realm of reasons, which I'll go into. As a kid, I liked it because, like, I think my granddad, I would be watching these kinds of movies on a Sunday afternoon. Again, just kind of an action-y caper with a lot of cars getting beaten up, right? But this time, I saw it in a whole different light, and I really enjoyed appreciating it for both reasons and from both views.
I must say, like, watching it again, especially as you grow older, you can see different movie types. This is such a British shot movie, whereas you have the 60 American shot movie. You can see this movie is really, you can show, like James Bond, you can see that's very, there's heavy British elements into that. But this is, you can see different, but it's so shot, like you could just go, oh, it's British. It's a British movie. Just the way it's shot, I think, in this, like, doesn't take away like from the Hollywood shot. They just have their different 60s feel, if that makes sense. It's like that, so you can see this is a British movie. But look at the poster there. This is actually the original poster. There are being remakes like where you have all the sort of the minis on this, but this is a great poster. When I saw it, I was like, this is their original poster. I want this poster. I was like, that is good. That framed. I was like, that is one amazing poster, because it doesn't show you anything about the movie. It's just the Italian Job. What is it about? Don't know. But It was fun. I must say, it was it's a good little smiling caper. It has its flaws, but it's it's flaws because of the what year it's set in, not because of the story.
Yeah.
The story is very, very simple. It's a very simple, but very, I think, very well done. I liked it. I really did. I thought it was good. It's very heavy masculine, I suppose, like that, and then it treats it like that. The women didn't very much in the background, but that's the 60s.
The women have one purpose in this film, and one purpose alone is the eye candy. That's it.
That's it. Yeah. But I think it does, like, even with this it's the start to the fish. It's like there's a lot of the cars in this. If you're a car geek, you've got to like the cars in this. Like I say, the first bit we get to see I wouldn't know what Lamborghini it is. I just know it's a Lamborghini, so I don't know what version.
The Lamborghini Miura. I wrote down all the cars that were sacrificed. No, that's a Lamborghini Miura. Miura.
Yeah. But yeah, you got that, and then you have the kind of course the classic music over the top of this. And I suppose this is now what else is going to be our third mafia movie as well.
And I forgot about that part of it.
Yes.
Like I forgot Italian Job, and I forgot this is really a mafia film.
Well, technically, it's actually our fourth mafia film, because we had the first one we did, which his name is Miller's Crossing, Casino, Godfather, and now this one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 4.
There we go. So we like our mafia. This was indirectly mafia, I suppose. I remembered it, but I wouldn't go, oh, mafia. But this is actually heavy. I thought it was less of a part within the movie. But I just like the Italian Alps they've got here as well. I love that. Like, it just makes you go, I really want to be there. Like just sitting there, having a hot cocoa, your boots on, going skiing or something like that. It's brilliant. But of course, going straight into the movie, it's a good little opening, this bit. Like it's like the I'm not sure the character's name again, something like he's just driving along. He's just enjoyed having his little cigarette, whilst it being very
like his name is that's Beckerman, right?
Beckerman,
He's gonna show up in the film shortly.
Yes. And then of course he drives through a tunnel, and you don't think anything of it until you kind of see a little bit of a truck with them, like loads. At the moment, you see a reef be in the black, and then bang!
What a great shot, though.
Yeah, and then you just get this car completely wrecked, and it's very like everything still. It's got we find out they toss it over the side, and then we get to this mafia boss of like that, and he even throws the reef down. And like that. And now, this is why I appreciate this movie straight away, because this is all practical. Everything in this is practical. And it's like that. Even them, let's knock it off the side of that mountainside. All practical. Like, there are dummy cars in it, but they are, and it's like, I wonder how many, if you look at it again, I wonder how many takes did it take to get that reef to completely do the circle, get it right.
I'm sure it wasn't just one reef.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was lucky if that was the first time. But yeah, it's great to do. Oh, the heavens have opened up above me. It's really raining really hard now. But yeah, you kind of get that, and I just like it's a good little setup. The mafia straight away are involved, but as you say, Sandy, you forget it's a major part of actually this movie. So like that, but. Yeah. So
there was something about this opening that stood out to me visually. And again, when we see these guys, the same mafia group on this same kind of hilltop type of scenery later on with Michael Caine's character. But visually, looking at this opening, it reminded me a lot of, and I was wondering if there were some ties because of the people involved in this movie. It reminded me a lot of the intro to Austin Powers Goldmember. Some of the way it was kind of like you said, the way it was shot and the way the camera is and all that, like it immediately stuck out to me as like, oh, that kind of reminds me of that. And I was curious because that was also the Austin Powers that Michael Caine was in. And obviously Mike Myers himself, being British or from England, wherever exactly he's from. I don't know where he is in London, or England rather. I was just curious if that was some influence on it, because visually it stood out to me as looking a lot like that. The classic kind of car, whatever was Lamborghini in this, I think in that movie was a Jaguar or something with the the British flag on it and all that. But just, yeah, the way he kind of cruised around these mountaintops, hillside, you see these fake versions of Dr. Evil and Mini-Me kind of standing up in the hilltop, aiming down on him with guns. The whole thing just really struck me as similar. And I was curious if that had anything to do with one another. The Michael Caine connection made me think, like, I wonder if it's a special little shout out.
But I do know there are other movies and a lot of British TV that do give references to major bits in this movie. So I think it's just heavily influenced people. Probably.
Most
I suppose if you and it like Mike Myers, I guess, is, you know, he was heavily influenced in British cinema, so maybe he just was like, you know, they were
Peter Sellers was a huge influence on him.
Yeah,
so maybe
I saw it and visually I'm like, curious. I wonder if this had any influence or if there's any kind of reference to Michael Caine.
It probably is. He just was like that, you know.
It's not like a shot for shot.
But I'm just saying, just stuck in the head.
You see, you're like, that's interesting. That's eerily similar. It was the first kind of imagery that popped into my head while watching this.
But it's a good opening. It's a good
opening. It
really
sucks you in the scenery and the music, and that music right away from the very beginning drew me again right into my grandparents' living room on a Sunday afternoon. That was that easy listening music that they used to call it in the late 70s and early 80s, and this was like 69, so you know, getting close to the 70s. But you will be shocked to know who put together the score and the musical directed music for this film. Quincy Jones, I kid you not. And it just goes to the diversity of his influence on music, starting with jazz to pop music to that Motown sound and to everything else, We Are the World and everything. He has touched music around the world, not just in America, but in British film and in foreign films. So when I saw his name, I was shocked for a second, and I was like, nope, I'm not shocked, because Quincy Jones has done it all. So he pulled together all the music for this film, which I think that's one of those elements when I said I'd watched it. When I watched it for the second time, or maybe the third or fourth, but when I watched it this time, I was appreciating a lot of other things that I don't even think I noticed the music when I saw this film initially, because it was during that time when that kind of music was in a lot of these kinds of films. But now I really appreciate it. Again, Quincy Jones. Oh my gosh. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah, I would not have thought that.
It is. I think they do very clever in that, the influence to the music, to the cars, to draw you in. And like, there are movies that I probably direct this at more like Jay, like that, where they're set in the 60s and they feel like it just feels a bit old. But this is 60s, but it feels like it's always supposed to be 60s. Is that what makes what saying? It's like that. There are movies you go, oh, it's a bit outdated, but this is so like, oh no, this is a 60s movie, and it just feels like it can't be in a different time zone. It's like, no, that's what you're watching. Where you look at older movies where they don't have that feel, they just feel a bit, oh, it's a bit outdated now. It feels 60s, like the early James Bond feels right to be in that time period.
Well, and that's what I was going to say when I alluded to earlier that I appreciate it differently now. That's exactly what it is. It's from a historical perspective. This is a snapshot of the 60s. It's the music, it's the cars, it's the fashion. We even get a trip to the tailor shop in this film, and it's the streetscapes. It's all of that put together, and watching it this time, I thought this is a timeless reflection of the 1960s, primarily in Europe and London, but this was the point in time where London was still influencing America so much in terms of culture and art and music. You know, we just, gotten into the British invasion, but that was going to continue through the 70s as well in terms of music, evolving from the Beatles and the poppy bands over to the Who and the Rolling Stones and those bands that were to come, and then even into metal. But I really appreciate this film overall for the entire aesthetic around the 60s.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the look of the 60s is just so interesting. We were just talking about the video I did this week, talking about the Fantastic Four trailer, and one of the things I really liked about it was that retro 60s kind of look. It's just so sharp. It's so colorful. It's so bright. It's so interesting to look at. The clothing, vehicles, interior design of that era is just very eye-catching. So I thought it looked great in this.
I think when you do modern back in the day, I like it because if you take away modern technology, it's great. Like in this, I think it makes like even like this without like everybody got a mobile phone or whatever, it just gives it a bit of class. Everybody's got a bit of class. And I think it's like in like that, if you go when nobody did have like, iPads and all that, like it also takes away, it's easy to do things like we'll go on to like the CCTV aspect and this and the old computer system they had running with our IT expert that every time it got in my head. We'll go on to that in a minute, but I think it just gives it a bit of class. That's why I think like they don't do it so much, but they could have done like in Ocean's 11, like the remake, not the first one. I think the first one's not a very good movie, but they don't heavily rely on too much technology. Like, I mean, like the modern, it was there, but they didn't really highlight. It's all about, the heist elements. And I think this is I think if like the remake of this, I think it's dreadful. I think it's a terrible, terrible movie.
It's forgettable. I've seen it once. I remember watching it. I was at a friend's house years ago. We must have been in high school still. And I remember it was one of those things like after school, we had nothing to do, threw the TV on. We're all just kind of goofing around. And this movie's on, so we start watching it. And I just remember watching it. I remember the part where the Mini Cooper like gets brought underground from some explosion or something like that. It's just entirely forgettable. And it felt more like it wanted to be an action blockbuster than this one wanted to be a clever, funny heist movie. It's the most I can say about it. I can't even say good or bad. I can say just forgettable because I really don't remember anything about it.
Yeah, it's a completely. I think it's who is it? It's not what's the co-star? Just a little bit. Not Mark Wahlberg, the other guy who's in it. Who was the Hulk?
I'm trying to think. I know Charlize Theron's in it. Or Theron
no, the male actor who's the cop.
Jeez, I have to actually look it up. Let me see.
Yeah, I can't remember, like he was in Fight Club.
Oh, Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. He was contractually obliged to do this. They were supposed to do something else, and he had to do it. But he refused to be. If you watch the movie again, he refused to be on set with any of the other leads. So if you watch it,
what a weirdo.
He is because he was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to be in this movie because they were shooting it wherever, and he was like, I don't want to travel. So his scenes are shot completely away from everybody else because he was just like, no, blah blah. And it was I think it was because they promised to do the Hulk 2, or I think it was like that, and they never did, and they said no because you have to do a movie. This is your movie that you have to do. So there's a big thing that he just was he just kind of like did his line. And they were like, oh, we want to do it again. He'd be like, no, and just walk off. There's a big like that. I've watched the documentary. And apparently, he's like really up his own. Yeah,
like, he's a good actor, but
it could have been a hit. It could have been a hit. Yeah, there's okays. Like, you don't know what. I'm guessing a lot of actors, of course, they do movies where they don't know if it's going to work. You might have the greatest script, but the director messes up. But like, not just a one take and then walk off set. That's a bit different. But yeah, it's big things. Yeah. So, but. Let's get back onto a good movie, the good Italian Job, the one with a funny number that Mr. Porkchop says. So we get to see our cheeky little chap, Charlie, and Charlie. We find out straight away he's coming out of prison, like that. So this is again, it's a good setup. He's been in. He's he's a bit cheeky, even when the warden tells him to quieten down, you're not out yet. And then from that we get to see Mr. Bridger, the very, I don't know what you call it, like is the British gangster posh boy, I suppose, like that, who could be sitting in the House of Lords probably today, probably have the same kind of criminal background. But I like this thing because like he goes like, sir, and like that, he's very respectful to him. I like that. It's just showing that straight away. But again, it's another easy setup coming out of prison. I think they do that in Oceans, like the remake of Oceans 11.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've never seen the original Oceans 11, so I don't know how much the remake was like that one. But I felt a lot of similarities and kind of tone with this movie and Ocean's 11. Well,
and that movie came out before that. So the original Ocean's 11 was
60.
first.
Was it 60?
And then 1960. And then this one and a couple of other caper-y films in between. And it's funny though, like I see bits and pieces and I wonder, okay, did they draw it from this film or was that just the way, like the standard format for these films, right? Even I find a lot of the Blues Brothers coming out of this film. Particularly around the cars, right? The Blues Brothers destroyed something crazy like 138 cars in the Blues Brothers. But I see a lot of, and that's the beginning of the Blues Brothers. They're coming out of, I think Jake is getting out of jail. Elwood's picking him up. I didn't expect you to pick me up. What are you picking me up in this piece of junk for? This piece of junk. Same way Charlie comes out and says to, I forget her name. It's Maggie Bly, but I didn't expect you to pick me up in this car. You're picking me up in a hot car. Exactly repeated in the Blues Brothers. Exactly.
Do you want to, Sandy, what car is it? As you might mention all of them. Did you get these
that one? I don't know. I don't know that one because it wasn't destroyed.
Okay.
So it was tallying the cars that were destroyed.
We just know it's the Pakistani ambassadors.
Is that a Rolls of some sort?
I don't know. I guess so. But yeah, then we get I can't remember her name in like if you got IMDb up.
Lorna.
Yeah. So that's
Lorna.
Yeah. A loose girlfriend, and it's like, oh, I couldn't believe you're picking me up, and in what is this? And then he goes into like the little flag. I love it. Flag. Like literally, like I'm in a hot car. And then I think I go with what Sandy says. The next scene, I really like this scene. It's very simple, but in the tailors, I like this. And
so important to just like top to toe, as they say, top to toe. We're seeing the shirts. He even says, pull these up. My arms aren't long like a gorilla or whatever. And, and you just get to see he wants to look good. And to your point about the classiness here, even when they're planning the heist and everyone who's a driver is wearing the same blue jumpsuit, there's a look to this film and the characters care about how they look. Like, you're coming out of prison. I don't think the first place I would go would be my tailors. I think it would be to a nice restaurant and get some good food, but straight away to the tailors. I love this scene.
But she even says that I'm taking you to the tailors.
Yeah.
So she knows he's a bit of a, was it a dandy boy? I think is the best phrase to call it. He likes to look a bit prim and proper. He knows he's out of date and he's got I need a new suit. I love that. So it's when they all know him and they're like, I think like, was it? They're like, you've put on a bit of weight or whatever. Like, I've been in America. They put like, it's all. What did he say? It's all them burgers they eat out there or something, doesn't he? So and there's always a little bit of references, and even to like the next scene. I think this is brilliant. This scene. It's so this. I read, if it's true, this whole scene with the Aston Martin DB4.
DB4.
Yes. Was ad-libbed.
Oh, cool.
All of it. And I was like, when I knew that, I was like, that makes this scene even better. So of course he comes up, like he calls it like he calls himself something else, doesn't he? He's not Charlie in this. He's like
right, Mr. So
he's like and he puts a little bit more of a posher accent on. And he's like,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you say valet or valet?
Valet.
You do say valet.
Le valet,
sometimes they say valet. We say valet.
Finally, you guys get one of the pronunciations right over there.
Correct.
Aluminium.
Correct. But sometimes they say valet, and when we get to Grove,
no, because you valet a car, but you have a valet.
Okay. When we get to Gosford Park, we're going to have to bring that question back up again.
Okay. There we go.
Because they say valet and valet in that film. But here they say valet, and I was like, oh, is it supposed to be valet? Okay.
Yeah.
Valet.
But like,
awesome.
I always think, I always thought in this, like, it must be his car because he knows where the money is stashed under the bonnet. But how he's acting, he's like he's nicking it.
I think he stole it before he went to jail. Yeah. It's still a hot car, but it's his hot car. What do you think, Jay?
I think, yes, hot car, but his hot car. And I also think, it's obviously been in storage this whole time, and clearly he knows he hid something in it.
Yeah.
So the whole way he's going about it, I think, is just a little bit on the defensive of I don't want to give anything away here, so that I make sure I get my hands on this.
So that's why I think, it's a different name. He goes a little bit, oh hello,
Yeah,
and
he's
like,
playing super right.
Yeah,
He's playing it
super
safe
posh.
and right.
And it's brilliant. I love this line in this. I'm gonna have to paraphrase. I can't remember it off the top of my head. When he gives him the money, it's like, oh, it's 100. The storage is 100. Don't worry, because I'm guessing they're £1 notes there. And he's like, oh, I've been in Africa shooting tigers or where, or something, doesn't he?
Right.
And then he's like, oh, and he's like going through it and he goes, oh, you must have done well. And he goes, yes, I used the machine gun. And I love that. I think it's brilliant. I was like, it did make me giggle. I was like, but it's just like, because he's playing the part overly posh and his London accent's kind of off there.
And I would even say, I think the guy he's paying off here is like catching on to it a little bit by that point as well, with the odd amount of money and the odd type of bills and the machine gun reference. I think, and he almost makes a little face too, like, oh, okay, yeah, something's off about this whole thing, but I got my piece of the pie here, so I'm good.
It is great. Yeah, it does. I do like the classic lines in this. It does make you giggle because they're like just over the top. Oh, like they're just, nobody talks like that. And if they did, you'd be like, ha, I like you.
It feels very like what I always picture when I picture, British humor. The whole movie does, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's another depiction of, again, forgetting the mafia side of it, which has its own set of rules. There's a lot of honor among thieves here, right? Even that valet, he's essentially taking a bribe. They all know what the price is. They all know that everyone can be bought. Everyone can do a wink, wink. Even those in prison can be bought. How's your house, so and so? In other words, I just bought it for you. Referring to the guard later on and Mr. Bridger. It's all that honor among thieves. They all know. They're all in on it, except when it comes to these huge amounts of money and these capers and who's stealing from whom. But the little day to day, I can just buy you. Here, just take the money.
Well, there's even Bridget, like, how is it like everybody's corrupt, isn't it?
Yeah,
everybody can be bought, or everybody, because like when they go, we'll go on to that character in a minute.
Oh yeah,
so we get to the Royal Lancaster. And even when he goes into
you're the British.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of your guys' words. You tell me.
I know. I'm just trying to Lancaster. Yeah, Lancaster. He's now, when he turns up, he's the Lord. So she's done it for him. He knows he's going to a room. Also, there is a note from the guy we just saw died in the first Beckerman at the first scene in the Lamborghini. So we're like, oh, that's a bit odd, what's being set up. And then of course he goes into where he's meeting, of course, his girlfriend, and she's got a surprise. a lot of surprises. A lot of surprise. Yeah.
Welcome home, Charlie.
But it's all like he's you can tell straight away he's let's put it polite, he's a ladies' man. He's a bit of a player.
He's a player.
He's a player. And I think because there's what's it called? There's a movie and I can't remember it, and Jude Law did the remake of it. Alfie. He's a player. Yeah, that's it. So I don't know which one was first. So I don't know if that was a play on that. So I was like, yeah, I thought of it when I was watching. I went, oh, is that a play because he was in Alfie? I don't know. But I do like this because you have all the girls. As my girlfriend's a lingerie designer, I'm guessing she definitely was going, 60s underwear. But that's it. But I do like that because you see
Alfie
the women.
Was first. Alfie was 3 years
so
before this one.
So I wonder if that was a little nod. So I like it because you get this, okay, it's coming out, but you don't see anything until he comes out the front door, absolutely shattered. I think it's funny.
This is a funny bit.
Yeah, you just know what's happened, but you don't need to know. He's like, oh, like that. He looks exhausted, and you're like, yeah, we didn't need to see anything. And it's good because a lot of this, like even into the 70s, you needed boobs. They would have needed boobs, and I'm very surprised they had. In this is a time where nearly every movie, if it's Hollywood, oh, you need a boob shot, women you definitely need to see breasts, but this doesn't, like you see in their lingerie
was rated G in the United States,
really,
which is shocking that they released it as a G, meaning, so I thought, and I was going to ask you, James, if the British version had the frontal nudity or had more violence in it, because, and maybe it was edited down in the United States because it was released as a, you can't, I haven't seen a G movie since, I think even The Incredibles was PG. I think Coco
I'm
was
very
G.
surprised because even at the end, there's with the violence of them.
Yeah,
they actually get quite violent. I wouldn't have thought. Yeah, you were gonna go. This must have been. I would say this would have been 15. I know there was different standards of probably in 1969 in Britain, but I'm guessing it wouldn't have been a PG, what we call a PG. Like.
And a G is like 8 years old.
Actually, gonna look.
Like anybody can watch it.
Actually,
but there's no blood, right? They show the violence, which it did surprise me. Not to jump ahead, but at the end, like, even in some of the Ocean's films and other caper films, it's bopping people, and they're not, they're beating the heck out of the drivers of the other cars, and it was just a little more than I expected. But and the well, we'll talk about the Benny Hill influence in a moment. I mean, that was all around late night British television. You had Benny Hill, you had, the women in bikinis getting chased by the lecherous man who actually, Benny
it was
playing.
a PG. I just looked it up in the UK. It was rated a PG as well. So mild, it classes mild violence, but language and sexual references. But that is it.
Wow. I guess, hey, the more the merrier, the more people who can watch it, But
I think even that you have to be, if you're under 13, you have to be with a parent. You can't just rock up.
Oh, because ours is PG-13, if that's the anyway, maybe they did edit it a bit in the US because a G is really vanilla. Like even Bambi technically is not a G because of the reference to gun violence in it. But so, but but you know what's going on. You don't have to have the full frontal to know that, he's had a good old time. And now this picture, I don't know if you captured this screenshot on purpose, but Jay, you were mentioning in some of the other films we reviewed, the use of some of those angular shots. That was a little distracting at points in this film. What did you think about? There were a whole bunch of scenes that kind of went for these. I don't know if this is the Dutch angle or the other one. I forget what the other one is, but
Dutch angle's up the nose, isn't it? I think.
There was a lot of that and a lot of the sideways and.
I thought so. I definitely noticed a lot of use of some of those different kind of angles, but I felt a little bit more like in this one, it was at least done with some like artistic style, more so than just like a blatant overkill of it. Like the, I think at the time we were talking about the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, when like 90% of the movie is filmed through the Dutch angle, which just gets so frustrating after a while. This one does have a lot, and I could definitely see it bordering kind of on the tolerance level of like, all right, enough. But it passed the test for me in terms of just the first watch through. Maybe a second watch through, I might notice it a little bit more because I would be a little less focused on paying attention to the story and such, since I would have known it the second time through.
I must say I didn't.
But I felt it was a little bit stylish. Yeah, I thought it was a little bit more stylish in this than too overkill.
Yeah, because you're getting the movies where they're trying to be arty-farty and they use it all the time. You're like,
and that's and you're like, dude, enough.
This
like,
one,
we get
I think
it.
they
Went
did
to
it.
film class.
Yeah,
this one I thought was at least a little bit more subtle and a little bit more fitting into like the style of this, sharp 60s look that they were going for.
So after he's had his, I don't even know if it's a night, because what is it? I have to go back. It's
who
tonight.
even knows?
So tonight,
I think that was like a few hours during the day. Yeah.
So maybe it's he just got completely
a nooner.
Exhausted. And then of course from that he goes to the room 1066. He is greeted by a revolver or pistol. I can't remember exactly. But of course it turns out he finds out that what's the name? Beckerman. Right, gonna go back. Beckerman. There we go. Beckerman is dead, but his wife is there. She tells him, "Don't worry. all the plans are here. I just needed to make sure because they killed him. She's very loose about that. And I really thought this scene, I thought they got it on, but they don't. I thought they did. It just seemed like he would come out of one party to the next kind of party, but he doesn't.
How
and
could
of course,
he? I mean,
yeah. 1960s, baby.
You guys are men. I don't know. That's stamina. I don't know.
At this point, I felt again a lot like there was comparisons between him in this movie and his character in the Austin Powers movie he was in. I kept getting this strong connection between those. Like, if you would have told me this was a prequel character, a spiritual prequel character, I would have believed it because it just felt a lot like him. I don't know if it's maybe just his charm, his sense of humor, the way he kind of acts. But in that movie as well, in Goldmember, he's a womanizer. He's with all these women, all this stuff. I mean, he's Austin Powers' dad, so it's the same kind of character. Obviously, I think he was a spy, not a thief or anything. But yeah, the way he plays it, I just felt was very, very similar. So I thought it was really cool having seen that first and kind of going back now in his filmography to see, where some of that role, or at least that style of playing the role, might have been spawned from.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of the movies where Michael Caine is Michael Caine, you could get that.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of what I'm like. Maybe it's just a little bit of how Michael Caine is when he's acting in this type of role versus, you probably
get
Alfred Pennyworth. But
is it Jaws: The Revenge? Is that he's one, isn't it?
Don't even.
Yeah,
don't even.
That is. Yeah, that's in probably the top worst 100 movies.
Yeah,
but he's just been sod it. I'm here for the check. Hey! And he just plays whatever. I'm just going to play this character, and he doesn't care.
He shows up, and he will show up anywhere.
Yeah.
He's.
That's what he said. That's what he used to say. I know he's retired now, but he's like, I'm come here for the paycheck. Literally, that is it. I don't know when the next one's going to be.
It's an art, but it's also work for these people too. So not everything can be an Oscar movie. Sometimes you just got to cash a paycheck.
But that's it. Like Jason Statham. Fair play to him. He knows what roles he's going to get, and he gets paid for it.
And he was in the remake Italian Job, so bringing it all full circle.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yes, he is, isn't he? Oh,
he's everywhere.
There we go.
That's funny.
That is hilarious. But then, we get that he's been given the plans on a microfilm. I like this bit. He's just getting the milk float home. I like it. I think it's a good little thing. I just giggle. It's just like that, just jiggling along, trying to see the plans on the microfilm. I just like this scene. So it
was one of those things that felt a little random, but I did get a chuckle out of it. So it kind of, like it didn't bother me or anything. Like, I don't really understand why he's on this little milk truck, but it gave me a good laugh. So
do you get them? Do you get them in America?
Probably, maybe in this era we don't.
I think
trucks anymore. But
in the
we used to have the
we did in the city.
That.
Yeah,
and then we probably don't get it as much, but I'm guessing from like the probably late 90s, they were every morning. Everybody got their milk. I'm guessing most people. You got your milk.
No,
dropped
I think
we had milk, butter, and eggs in the in Baltimore
I think
City.
By the 90s, we were kind of done with that.
Yeah,
at least as far as I can think of.
I don't remember anybody buying. Now we all go to the supermarket and buy our milk, but I don't remember anybody in my whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood, and I mean, like, this is like when I was that probably age, it was like North London, and it's literally everybody had your pint of milk, so outside, a couple of put down, put it up, the milkman comes, and then that was it, you could order now and again. I think they got really adventurous in like probably in the 90s, probably chat remember, and they started doing orange juice. You can get fresh orange juice. Whoa!
And look at that.
And then they started, like glaze it all. Just the eggs. You can get eggs. Like it's just
your one colored
crazy.
It doesn't go in the fridge.
Yeah, your one colored unrefrigerated eggs.
There you go. Don't talk about stuff like you cannot talk about food after that. Jay gave us. He found the clip, and I would love to get anybody. What is it called? A chicken in a can.
I'm beside myself.
I think I literally typed in into the YouTube search bar like canned chicken video, and it was the exact one I watched. It was a short. It came up almost immediately. I was like, "Yep, this was the one."
The only thing I can explain, people, it's a big can with a really compressed chicken inside.
The whole chicken.
It's like a gelatine, like it's just crammed with like a gelatine pervert.
It looks like if Vaseline was a jelly. It's disgusting.
It's literally, but the noise, that noise is like,
and then it comes out.
Now, I because of a girlfriend watching it, she was like, that is gross. She was like, I'm guessing, do you know what? She was like, that is minging. And I was like, I'm gonna tell that because I'm guessing, do you know what minging is?
No, I've heard it, but I don't know exactly what it means. I kind of get context clues of how to use it.
It means it's just not
like
very nice looking.
Right?
It's disgusting. Yeah,
that's what
you're
I
a
figured.
minger. Mostly it's like that. We used to like in the very night, you're a minger. Like, you know, being like you eating something that's not right, you call somebody a minger. You know, very British thing to say. But she was like, but why would anybody invent that? I went, I bet that was invented is definitely during the peak of the probably like a nuclear crisis.
Yeah,
the Americans have done that, and it's going to be somebody went, can we preserve this?
Yep,
can 100%. We preserve this? And I went, it's going to be somebody who thought this is going to happen. It's got a bunker somewhere with everything. Like there's even ones people preserve like canned water, isn't there? And I was like, anything. They would have tried everything. And I like,
allegedly it was a fully cooked chicken too.
Yeah, but why is it's still for sale? Why would anybody?
Yeah, that I don't know. Because I don't know how old that specific can was, but you could tell by the labeling. Like it wasn't old enough to have been from like wartime or nuclear scare.
No, somebody did.
It was like something that was still being made within the last like at least 10 years before that was opened. So yeah, it was disgusting.
It looked horrid as well. It did look like
terrible.
It looked like it looked like a chicken that had been run over, eaten by half-eaten by a raccoon, and then dragged along by a stray dog. And that's the only way I can say, oh, it was. Yeah, it wasn't appealing. Can you imagine that at dinner date? What are you making, chicken? And it's done. Oh, yeah.
Fully cooked in a can. Nice.
But yeah, I anybody who wants to kind of go, that is absolutely disgusting. Go and Google. Was it chicken in a can?
Yeah, I think I just typed canned chicken, chicken in a can video, or canned chicken video on YouTube.
Chicken in a can.
It's a video. It's a short. It's a blue can. You'll see it immediately. It's disgusting.
You could I've not been able. You could actually make a YouTube career of that channel and just chicken in a can. Just call it chicken in a can channel, and then just get like see how many different versions of chicken in a can you can find, and see if you can actually physically eat them.
Well, I bet there's other things in a can. So now we have a quest for chat.
Yeah,
chat. Your mission, should you choose to accept it before the next film club, is what can we keep outgrossing each other? So chicken in a can right now is at the top of the gross food in a can. What would knock that off the top of the gross?
The Brits are going to be struggling. I think the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a can, and I found it weird. We have Smash, that's been around since the 70s, but it was.
What is Smash?
Smash is like a dehydrated powder that you add. I think it's milk and water to it, and it becomes like potato mash. Mashed potatoes.
Oh, so instant potato. We call it instant.
Yeah, instant.
I guess we do have something kind of similar.
But there was mashed potato in a can, and I saw it on the shelves the other day, and I was like, "What?" I went, "How lazy?"
Yeah,
because you just got to boil potatoes and then mash them like that. But I was like, "Oh my god, this is bizarre." But I was like, "That is bizarre." But like, we don't like unless it is actually a preserved. Due to read a lot of soup, we get a lot of Heinz soup and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the Brits are going to get things. But then, yeah, I was about to say you do get the Swedes and the Danish, like, and the Icelandic. They have all that weird like kippers in the can and stuff like that, like fermented stuff,
like from hundreds of years. Like when they went, whoever went after Shackleton and found some of Shackleton's stuff that was left in the Antarctic, and like hundreds of years. It was already old. Like he brought from Fortnum and Mason, he brought these pickled herrings and kippers and whatever in a can that were already like 30 or 40 years old. And they're still somewhere in a museum. They're still there.
I thought you were going to say somebody went Sodic. Oh,
no, but
tasty.
But that story made me go somehow, YouTube knows. The next story I found on YouTube was there is a shop in Denmark that has like all these ancient old canned fish from the time when it was made that have never been opened, and they just collect it. And even in the Borough Market, there's and I have a picture of it, there's the canned fish stand in Borough Market, and it's not just fish from today, it's people go around and try to find who has this unopened, these little fish tins in their closets, which is quite gross. So chat, next week we want to hear what is more gross than a chicken in it. It's not chicken in a can. It's a chicken in a
It's not like a
can.
drumstick. It's a
it's not
full whole
like
chicken.
shredded chicken as if it was like a can of tuna. It's a
Right.
whole full chicken.
It's just the noise.
And
That's
it
what
has to
Food
be
Manager does.
it has to be some kind of food in a can, chat. Don't get
Yeah.
too gross with it. It has to be an
Oh.
edible food.
Oh, but yeah. Anyway, back to the Italian job. We could just do a food segment every week now.
Food club.
So we get he's beginning of things now. He finds cinema. I like these little black and white video clips through the movies. I completely forgot they're there, but they're very quaint. If that is things they're needed because it's a very short period, but they give the story like this is. Of course, Beckersman he even said to it, if I've given you're listening to this, I am dead. And he knew he was a marked man, but he was kind of honorable enough to put all his ideas on a film. So he kind of goes through the whole Turin kind of plan, what is going to happen, and of course Charlie's there, yeah, well done, yes, like giving him a little bit of a thing. Who did who just did that?
Highlanders here.
Oh my god, it's
Highlanders
literally
here.
right. Oh my god, that is brilliant.
I think that might be
remember
the
to like the
exact
stream.
brand chicken in a
They
can
did,
from the
it's
video
actually
too.
that.
To be
Oh
honest with you. I think that's
my.
the exact same one.
But by the way, I did find whole turkey in a
Nobody.
can. I found it already.
Yeah.
How big is that can?
It's
Oh, my.
huge. It's
Oh god.
it's Cook's turkey. Cook spelled K-O-C-H.
Yeah.
K-O-C-H turkey in a can. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Canned
Oh,
turkey.
Yeah. If you can
And
can
then
it,
they
you
have one
tried
that's
it.
in a jar. They have a whole turkey in a jar.
Oh my god, so you can see it like just
Oh my god.
steering there.
It's
Oh, brilliant.
It is exactly what you imagine it would look like. I'm just saying. Okay, back to the film. Back to the film.
So we're in Turin, and he's giving his thing about the Fiat. I'm getting like, it's the Fiat car company. It's not another Fiat that I know of. Is getting $4 million, I think they say, from China. But this is they're getting more payments. But they're giving them $4 million every week. This is a weekly thing. There's no less than $4 million in that third vehicle. You can see now what is the armored one. That's it. And he kind of comes with a plan. He's saying about very loose in the video because they're not going to give away the whole plot. When he's talking is like, you've got to start it. You can do this in 3 ways, but you need to start a traffic jam, and this little device will do it for you. But you need X, Y, and Z as well. And he goes, and the rest of the plan is in the folder that I've given you as well. It's an easy little easy way to explain how the job is going to take place. Like you've got the information's hidden, but you've kind of had a narrative to kind of break down of what you can do. But I like the black and white. I think it's quite. I like it again. It fits to the time period, and I think it's good. I just think it's a very clever, easy way to go. We have a plan. This is the plan.
Yeah,
But
and to get it across to the audience too. It doesn't feel like it's hitting you over the head with it. It's just it works well with Charlie's character needing to understand the plan. This is how he finds it out from a guy who's obviously deceased at this point. I thought it was great, and I even liked how Charlie kind of they don't just let it be the black and white video talking to him or just explaining to him. He's talking back to it as if it was a real person. I thought it was a clever little thing in there to just make it seem a little bit more interesting.
Respectful.
It's
respectful. I'm not just here for the money. It's like
right.
Kind of
as if it was an old friend, a colleague,
or
mentor of some sort. I thought it was a great way to kind of get the plan across to the audience.
And then, of course, Charlie's got the idea, but of course he needs funding, so he calls Camp Freddy as well. So he's on the phone to old Camp Freddy doing a 2-way call. I don't think you're going to get away these days calling somebody Camp Freddy.
No.
I don't think he's supposed to be gay. I think he's just how he dresses is flamboyant. I think
flamboyant is how it's described. Yeah, in IMDb, flamboyant.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah, so maybe he is, maybe he's not, but it's not fame too. I think at the end he's wearing the most horrific pink or candy pink suit ever. But again, it just shows there's a gangster system in place, even in the United Kingdom. Of like, well, he's got an idea. He needs money to get the idea. who's the head of the idea is Mr. Bridger. So he's calling and he's like, well, it's even to the point where you can't do it if it's the Bank of England, you can't do it because he's worried about the economy. Like that. So he's just like that. And then of course I do like this one where you have all it's again a typical only women could be secretaries, but it is the 60s. Is like they're all taking notes as he's talking, so they all kind of it's all there's like a system in place. There's like it has to be labeled, put away. It's like that. And of course I just like that. And then of course he kind of gets, no, sorry, it's not going to happen. But I do like where you have even that there has to be a talk. There's like, it's like they're just businessmen, because this guy at the time is like, tell us about Fulham. Well, Fulham's a bit terrible at the moment or something like that, doesn't he? But like they're all having before it has to go to a board meeting, we need to have a check. I like this. It's just like, if you're going to do something, it still needs to go through the same chains as like a corporate entity. And I'm guessing,
a legitimate business.
Yeah, I think it's funny, but they're probably they're so much money's going in. We need to have all the sign off. So, of course, Charlie gets put down. So he has one plan, and that's he needs to go and get he believes it's a great idea. It's doable. He's been knocked back, so he needs to go and see Mr. Bridger. Mr. Bridger, who's let's say treated very kindly in prison. I'm guessing he's a lifer. He's done something.
I'm guessing he's very rich and he spreads it around, as they say.
But I like this bit where is it like the jacket? I'm guessing you call it I don't know, like a smoking gown or something.
We call it a smoking jacket.
Yeah, smoking jacket.
Yeah.
And he gets handed his paper, gets handed his toilet roll, little like that, and he goes in like to go and do his business because he has his schedule. Unfortunately, his schedule gets interrupted by Charlie's broken into prison.
He's broken into my toilet.
Yeah, and he's like, "What are you doing? Get out!" Yeah, and it's just a funny little sequence here. Like it's just like how he could break into prison and then break out of prison. It's funny, but of course, from that, the Mr. Bridger isn't very happy, so he's gone to see the governor. Like that, and he just marches in to see the governor, and then I like how he just sits down. And then he makes the governor, who now I don't know if Americans know who he is and what he's famous in.
No,
I'm gonna let chat tell him. I'm gonna let chat. There'd be things like that. You stupid little boy would be a great little. Not he didn't say it, but he was. Before, let's say I'm going to give it the program way people. Let's see if you get the what rank
Chad's
was
still
he?
talking about chicken in a can.
Chicken thing. But yeah, it's Dad's Army. He was the old classic Dad's Army, the old British Dad's Army. Did you ever see that?
I have, yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
not as many as I've seen, like the Hyacinth Bouquets.
Yes.
And
John Lilimus, when pronounce his name. But yeah, he was a staple of the British. Always on, like it's like the 40 Towers. So that Dad's Army. It's not even on now. You probably put if anybody in Britain now, they probably could definitely find Dad's Army being repeated on TV now. So yeah, it's oh my god, we got another chicken in the can, have we? Oh, is it Abe then? It's Abe. Abe does that face. Could be Abe.
Highlander usually changes his name.
Yeah, that's true. Highlander is known for a very quick name change.
Mm-hmm.
So question, is governor in this, and for you guys, is this like just a prison warden, or is this
the governor?
Okay.
Yeah, the governor.
I'm like, governor, like this has to be a prison warden.
Yeah, he's the prison warden, and I like how he kind of just tells him off. I like that. It's I think it's like, you're not doing your job, like that. And he's like, well, sorry, yeah. And he's like, well, is there anything else? And he's like, no. And he's like, did you get to see the person? Never seen him before. So there's still, he's pissed off, but he's like, the things. But then of course, Mr. Bridger, because he's upset, I suppose he's rhythm, he's routine. He's gets told, go and rough him up, and then he gets I like the paper, and then goes into his room. He likes her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, very much so. He's got
quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Yeah, literally, he's like, oh, you're very patriotic. Let's say that he's because like the guy gives him the papers and some things, and he goes, "Oh, we also got these. I can't remember what like local edition." And he's like, "Why is that?" It's got a picture of the Queen in it. Oh, well, thank you very much. Really like that. But yeah, and so it's again, it's just like it's showing the character traits very, very quickly by really simple means. So he kind of gets, he tells them we need him roughing up, and of course they send Camp Freddy and a couple of ruffians to Charlie's apartment, or I'm guessing it's his apartment, and then of course his girlfriend turns up in the car, and they're like, "Come on, let's go." No, let's wait a moment, because what happens is, one by one, women come out of the apartment, running for dear life, getting shouted at in their cladded underwear, because she's going nutty and she's throwing all their stuff and like that. So again, it's just a little funny. As you said, I think, Jay, you could see this in the Austin Powers.
Yeah,
this is very
same kind of like character, kind of sly, playboy type of guy, and filled with a lot of humor. I just saw a lot of comparisons between the two.
But it's even to that when like they're having a fight and he's got this big bear, but she's got a rubber chicken. She's like that, and while she's moving, it's squeaking. Like that. So it's like, and then so it's just a little bit of a funny little scene, and of course they get in. He's like, "Oh, you wouldn't hit somebody with your trousers off, trousers, not pants, trousers." And then they rough him up. They don't rough him up too much. They just it's probably a rule, don't hurt the face. So it might be things. And then of course it goes straight back after. Lucky enough, there's a little bit of a scene where what we missed, where the paper does actually say about China giving Fiat 130 million or something like that. So he goes, "Oh, I want to hear this plan." So in Camp Freddy goes to Harley Street. Do you know what Harley Street is, you two? Just in case.
No,
it's where the top doctors, dentists are in most of the plastic surgeons, all the top, or where, in other words, where you could probably get a private, I don't know, let's say, I don't know, something like a tooth filling for £1,000. And it's going to be 10,000. It's going to be it's going to be all that. So it's where like now the private eye doctors are and all that. So if you got a little bit of money and you want it done by the top surgeons, this is where they are. So it's like that. So of course he's gone to the dentist, not really to do anything. He's maybe he's having a checkup, we don't know, but he's there, they're playing cards, and he's just tells Camp Freddy, "No, I want to hear what's going on. We need to give him a chance." And then Freddy, of course, is dead kind of against the situation, but he tells them, "Well, to get this done with the information we need somebody who's very good with computers." And they come up, what's the professor? What's Benny?
Professor Beach.
So they're like, "Well, we might not be able to get him because he's straight." And then that's when I think he says, "Nobody's ever straight," so like that. So they
meaning he's not going to take money for bad.
No, he's not bent. Yeah. That's it.
He's not
bent and straight.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they go to his mum's house like that, Mrs. Beach, and they like with the cats, and they have this really weird back and forth. I love it because it's just so like, "Oh, he's gone. He's gone." And then she's like, "What?" And they're like, I'm guessing she's supposed to be playing the role partially deaf, and then kind of like, "Oh, he had to go. Oh no, he's in a home. Oh yes, it was really bad. What was really bad? Oh, he did it. Yeah, he did it in the living room." And they're like, "What's going on?" And then what's the woman's like? And then he's like, "Oh, he did it
Annette. With Annette.
Yeah, Annette.
And they're like, "Annette," and then she goes, "Annette, the tea things," and then Annette turns up, and you're like, they're
big
like,
girl.
"What's
She's a
going
big
on?
girl.
She's a big girl." And then you get a classic. Benny Hill turns up. He's the professor, and every time I keep forgetting. I always forget he's in this movie because he doesn't play over. He's not his normal over comical self. Let's say what he's known as. He's playing it a little bit more drier, even though in this, what? Like he's a dirty pervert.
Just like on TV. I mean,
yeah.
he likes a
Much
big
so.
girl, just like he
He's
does
like
on his little show.
like that. So yeah, they're kind of persuading him. I know why you need me because I'm the brains and you're the brawn. And he's playing it up, and then he's talking about matron. He's like that. So he's blatantly in like a psychiatric ward or something. He's like, well, if I got a mirror up there, I could see straight into her room. Yeah, he's got some literally something not right. And then
it's not right.
Yeah. And I like it's just silly. And then he goes, well, look into the car. And there's two like
big girls.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, and he's whoa, like that. And he's just like, what is going on? Like, you're like, what is this character? And I like it because again, it's that caper comedy element. It's not overly funny, but it just gives you that little giggle. What's going on? It's just silly. It's like they could have had like. We keep on referring Ocean's 11 because that's probably the most famous caper, but they have like a very where they have the I think he's more autistic, isn't he? Like the one who does the card machine. They don't make him overly comical. He's just a bit. They play him off. He's a bit weird. He's clever, but he's a bit weird. But this one, they don't. They go full in. He's clever, but he's a bit perverted, and he likes big women. Why? Because that we just wrote in that, and we can get Benny Hill to be the character. Yeah, it's a bit odd. It's a bit
odd,
but it is funny for later on. It's just literally how they get. It's easily done to get rid of a character and not really play on how to get rid of him. I think it was very, very clever. So we get that, and then we get all the team together. I'm not going to run through all their names. I don't think their names are needed. Really.
No, not really.
No. So they go. He goes really of like, we got the drivers. This is the, and then we've this is the right hand man. Like even like he's right hand man in this isn't. You don't really. He's not. They're not like other caper movies where. There are individual characters. This is a Michael Caine movie. This is all Michael Caine.
It's not like again Ocean's 11, for example, where each character, even if they're a little bit smaller in terms of role, they still get enough to kind of develop them, have a personality. I think the only one you really get a little bit of something from in this crew is the Arthur character. You get a little bit of back and forth with him and Michael Caine's character at some points, but it's not as much like Ocean's 11, where you have Danny Ocean, Brad Pitt's character, Casey Affleck, and his brother or whoever it is that he plays with in that, Don Cheadle. You don't get as much of that development of the crew itself.
And the old guys, the old Norman Lear and Elliot Gould, and they all have their individual job to
Bernie
do.
Mac,
right?
I believe, right? Bernie Mac is in those. So you don't get
somebody
as
with
much
the greatest British accent ever.
Yeah, Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle.
Oh, bloody hell, mate.
But, and I think this one works even in, just being more Michael Caine focused. I think this one still works really well. The crew plays its role, but for the most part, you don't see a ton of, there's not a ton of highlight characters in it.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, really it could have been needed, but you don't need to know their background. You just don't need to know their arc. I suppose that's the modern way of saying it. It just plays along nicely as having this lead. He's the lead. You don't need to know the baddies. The mafia is just there. It's quite a good little thing. But yeah, from that, and now you get our first look at their vehicles that are going to get them away. The Mini, the classic British Mini. Now, I did actually read up a fact in this because, of course, it's set in Italy. The Mini car company, I think it's a British motor company, I think at the time, who did that.
Yes, BMC.
Refused to give them any cars. So they had to buy themselves. But at the same time, Fiat, because they were giving the cars for the Italian things, they said if you can have all the Fiat 500s, and they were going to change it. But then the director stepped in and said, no, it has to be British against Italy. It has to look like that for you thing. So it was a big step in of an argument. No, we're going to get all these free cars. No, we need to make it Mini. And I think it wouldn't have looked right if it was Fiat. I think it was set, but I think it
Well, it
worked
has to be because of the plot too, right?
Yes.
Because if you see this movie, I don't think you get it if you see this movie like once, because there's the point in time where the bigger truck goes into that, there's double doors and everybody's out front and you're wondering, why aren't they surrounding the building? Because they're going to escape. The reason they're not surrounding the building is because people know that there's no other way out for that big of a truck.
Yeah.
But for these little teeny tiny minis, that's the point. So unless the other cars were that size, plus it had to have that Britishness about it.
I'm guessing you don't get minis in the United States at all, do
Oh,
you?
we do, and they have.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we get
laugh.
those. The Fiats you see every so often.
Yeah.
It's not super common. I don't see them a ton, but
have you ever
at
been
least where I live, because they're probably not
you'd
great.
laugh because most people that I've seen with the Mini Coopers have the great big British flag painted on the roof.
Union flag.
The Union flag on the roof.
That was a classic. I think that was once this movie came out, everybody bought them. Everybody went mad, and then there was the Union flags. They came out on top of them. But I think like if you ever driven even if you're a passenger, it's like being in a go-kart. That is it. And they're quite, if you get somebody who's like got a good little bit of engine skills, they are nippy as anything. But it's because they're so like the wheels are so small and they're so light, literally like whoa. Like one of my friends had like this old, it was called a mini, and it had a 650 cc in it. And this thing was so thick, and they only had it for the Isle of Wight. And it was this cream white thing with this red interior, and it was beautiful car, but literally you only could fit 2 people in it. And it used to go like the rocket, and you're like, because you're so low to the ground, and you're like, oh, every corner is like you're skidding around it. But they're so fun to drive. They're like, you can't do anything with them. They're stupid if you know, they're just to get the A to B. But yeah, it's a very, it had to be the Mini. It has to be. But I think, for the plot point, Fear, okay, it would have worked, but I just don't think it would have worked because it's not British, and this is a British driven element to this movie. So yeah, and then so they got that, and then they've got the car, very posh. I'm sorry there, Charlie. Put the brakes on. Oh, I forgot then. They're testing all the things, and they're like running out of minis. And then, of course, you get now. I started with it. Of course, they're all testing their jobs. And we get the classic. Do I have to say it?
You do. You have the accent for it.
I was supposed to blow the bloody doors off. So we get, And he looks so happy to himself. I'm going to blow up. And he's like, bang. And literally, everything goes. I don't know why this is it's a very iconic movie scene. It's a very simple, I'm guessing because it's overly funny, isn't it? It is like, again, slapstick comedy is like, how did you put so much Semtex or dynamite into it to cause that explosion? You you've got to realize that's going to happen. It's just funny. It's just a funny scene, and it's very iconic. I don't know why it is so iconic. I'm guessing
it's just one of those, it's just so over the top. It's just over the top, and you get the feeling that the guy enjoyed it. Blew it up, and no, the point was to open the doors, not to blow it up. But he's like smiling.
Yeah, but that's it. Like I think everybody near enough, except for Charlie, are good at what they do. They're just a bit silly, a bit stupid about it at some certain points, aren't they? They're not the A people. He's got his little team.
These are not the smart. Exactly.
No.
Exactly. These are not the smart guys in the room. These are the little bit of the rejects.
Mm-hmm. So,
but I don't think Charlie's the smart guy in the room either.
No,
I think he has a modicum of intelligence, but nope.
He's got a plan though. He's got a clever plan.
Yeah, but it's not really, is it? Is it?
No.
It's like the I Love Lucy. Wait a minute, I have a plan. And Ethel says, "How could you utter those 4 horrible words?" Because it's always half-baked, right? It's always a half-baked plan. And I get the feeling that maybe Charlie's plans overall are usually and we'll find out at the ending.
Yeah.
How half-baked his plans actually are.
But I think it is because even the next scene is where Mr. Bridger has sent somebody over to vet the plan. So they've gone to Turin again, another video spiel of the plan can work, and it's like that. And it's like they've done it as a documentary. I like how they've we've sent out a film crew, and I like this little setup because you forget about till this point, and this is what probably like 40 like 1 hour into the movie about the mafia, and then of course Mr. Bridger spots the mafia are
they're
still
watching.
there. Yeah, so the guy who we saw at the start, they're still there, and of course he has to then tell Charlie they'll be waiting. So I like this. So it's now again we have a little bit of back and forth, of course, about Charlie doing the things, but now we need to arrange a funeral. Was it great Aunt Nellie? Is that right, Nellie? Is it Nellie?
Aunt Nellie? Yeah. I think poor dear great Aunt Nellie.
And I wonder how many times this actually has happened, like with the big somebody's got pull in any kind of prison around the world. We're like, we need to have a sit down, we need to have a meeting. We can call a funeral because that's the only time I'm allowed out. I like that. So
it's used in The Sopranos, and I'm not saying they stole it from this because it's a mafia thing. Like in The Sopranos, there would always be some kind of a meeting during a funeral. I mean, even in The Godfather, when the other families are going up to not Talia, Tessio, and and that's when Michael knows it was Tessio all along. It's at a funeral. It's at a funeral because they're all there, and they've done it. The Sopranos used funerals, and they used old people's homes, like visiting. Tony's mom and all the other gangsters' moms were all in the same old people's home, and so they use that, as a meeting place.
So we get that, and then of course, Mr. Bridger gives his speak. I like to speak. We're here for great Aunt Nellie, but the great Aunt Nellie will turn in a grave if you don't do your job. And it's just like literally is giving them like, I'm telling you about the mafia, but I'm also going to give you lot a bloody warning. It's like that. So it's just cleverly done. I think it's it's what would be now, but it's that. And of course, then it's now we're getting over to, they get onto their ferry on the great choppy waters across Britain. Like, oh my God, the English Channel. That looks nice, doesn't it?
Have you done the ferry? Have you done the ferry over?
Yeah, many times. Yeah, I've done a hovercraft as well.
Across the channel.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my
that's more things. So I've done one, of course, the little one, but I've done the one from Portsmouth down to I'm guessing kind of the Normandy area, but it's not. There's a channel that's there, and I've gone like if you want to go South France, you do that one.
Oh wow!
So
doesn't look pleasant. The trip does not look pleasant.
I've only been seasick once, and that was terrible. That was from Dover to Calais, and that's really short, but literally everybody was like side to side. Yeah, really, really, really bad. That's why we've never been really like nobody can get across the sea and conquer us because of that. You don't want to do it.
You and France are so close, yet divided by this choppy channel.
Yeah,
exactly. And we'll talk about it if we ever get to a film about D-Day.
Yes,
we'll talk all about that.
So now we get into sunny Italy.
Oh my God, I love the scenery here.
Yeah, it does. It just makes you want to go there. It's every bit like it's.
And look at the outfit. Look at the shirt. The what is that? A pea coat? We call and the gloves and the turtleneck. Really, really.
It's very dapper.
Very dashing and dapper.
Yeah, so we get that, and then of course we got all the minis.
More cars, red, white, and blue.
And then of course they're driving the mountain route. I'm guessing you're going to call it or whatever it is. But around the corner is the mafia,
where Mr. Beckerman met his fate.
Yeah, and then of course you have a little bit of a standoff of like. From both of them. Most of the time, Charlie keeps his mouth shut until he realizes
he's very cool.
Until really, the mafia boss. I don't know if they mention his name. Did they?
I don't.
Florio,
think
hang on. It's
not that I can mention them saying it at least.
No. But then, of course, he gives out.
Altabani.
He kind of walks. Yeah. They smash up. Of course, this is what happens. like, if you love cars, like, even if you're not a car lover, but you gotta love, like, look at these cars, every single one. Like, I know they're fake ones, but can you imagine this happened? Like, you just, like, because they're beautiful cars, we don't get these beautiful cars anymore. You don't get that kind of artistry looking, lines and everything like that. You're like, but yeah, they destroy the cars, put them over the edge, and then kind of the mafia boss kind of indicates to his men, gun them down. And then Charlie steps up, and I like this bit. He gives them a warning. There's 250,000 Italians in England. Each one will have a petrol bomb, or something will happen to him, and we'll drive him into the sea or something. So he gives it, like, he stands, like, he's got a bit of balls there, because he knows, the guy, yeah, whatever. But he doesn't back down. He just really calmly, England's that way, is a long way to walk, and he's like that. So it's again, it's a good little play again to things. Now the next scene, I don't like. I get the scene as you need it because of the blackout, but why have you got a really arrogant American? Like, I'm guessing it's supposed to be the ties between
you don't
or
see
an
him ever again.
investor. I don't know why. Yeah, is it an investor or something? Like, I don't know.
Partner of some sort. I don't know. It seemed really random. It almost seemed kind of like we're obligated to stick a obnoxious American character in this, so this is the spot we're going to do it.
But I don't know why they
see him again. He doesn't have any role to play. It's
like, at least make it like, like, you're going to do like a Chicago link. Give him, like he's like an Italian American or something like that. Something. He's literally like a New Yorker. Let's just say that is the best way to put it. Is just got a little bit of money. Yeah, a bit like, thank you, like a bit over the top. But I was like, there's no. It's a nothing scene. I just didn't get it. Like, maybe it was the bits cut out about America. I don't know. I don't really know.
Well, I would argue what comes next is also just as kind of random too, with Michael Caine on the bicycle. It's also very, very random. I don't know where this bike came from. I don't know how he was so close to this power station. This all kind of played off just equally as random. So these kind of back to back, I was like, I'm sorry,
the whole,
what's going on here exactly?
But the whole scene is to do a blackout to say we can really go to like get to the old computer system where they needed this computer genius to. I'm guessing he's coded, but they don't show it. He's coded the new code onto this. We don't know what it's for yet, but he's changing the wheels. That's it. Of a very, I do not know the computer system. Like, I'm not that much of a nerd.
No, that's an old mainframe, right? That's
that's
an old whatever they used to call them. But that's a good old mainframe. But again, like the second Ocean's 11, one of the main parts was to have fake video over the real video, so that the security officers would think that they're watching the vault when actually they're in there already breaking into the vault, and then when they're done, replaces it with the video of them breaking in when they're not breaking it. So it was all like, and that's what I thought this was, but then I forgot what it was because there was all the CCTV cameras, and then it was, this is the traffic lights, because I was looking for this to show up in those CCTV cameras, but I don't think we were as sophisticated in 1969 to be able to do what was then done in Ocean's 11 in the 1990s or whatever. But a similar ploy, a similar little device in the plot.
But yeah, it's again, it's a scene. I must say, this whole sequence, I don't think it's needed. Like this bit, they could, like the bit before it. Okay, you need to show this to make sense of why Benny Hill's character's there. But apart from that, it's it's not drawn out funny enough to make it like a mishap caper. It's just, it happens, and okay, they've done it, and then it just moves on to, of course, going to the airport again, seeing the bullion. It gets loaded. Of course, then we get to see, they're there watching the gold, make sure it's, everything's going to plan. But of course, we've got the mafia still watching. They know they haven't left. So again, it's setting it up again that there's going to be like you expect there's at one point there's going to be a mafia Brit standoff, I suppose is the best way to put it, but there never is. But from that, of course, we get the final lowdown of the plan. Now, I must say, like the plan, like is again, I suppose it's like other movies that we've mentioned. It's very elusive. You don't know very much about the actual what is actually going to happen. There is a plan, but we don't know exactly what the plan is. So it's again, it leaves you just a little bit of a wonder of like that. But of course, from that next, I suppose from that next bit again, we get a bit of a strange scene, I suppose is the best way to put it. The next bit is we get Benny Hill's character.
Our friend Benny's back.
Our friend Benny. He's helped anybody. He's getting a bus. Why he's getting a bus? We don't know why he's on the bus or the reasons behind any of this. It's just a very like I'm guessing it's just to get rid of him. It's just to get rid of him, is it? Is it like because he's very handsy. And again, he's like he's following the big lady.
Girls, he likes the big girls.
That's the only way you can say it. He likes a big girl. We don't really see him that, so we now get introduced to another character, because if things like that, we missed it. There's a football match on between the day after this, so they will be. Of course, the English are already out there having a few drinks, so they can mix in to it. So England versus Italy is happening the day after. So they've got this guy. We don't know why he's just been given packets. So we know they're kind of. Once you realise what it is, it's the same shape as what Beckenman was showing on the screen. So they're the technology he said that needs to happen, and that's to take out the traffic CCTV cameras. Yeah. So they're there, but you don't really see
they're disruptors of some sort.
Yeah. So of course we get to see the loading of the gold, the CCTV rooms. It's kind of like everybody's waiting for the things, and then of course we get back to Benny Hill, he's been nicked. Let's say that by you got a very irate Italian woman getting marched into the thing, and he's literally
and she gets stuck again.
Yeah, because she gets stuck again, and I'm gonna help you again. It's just like that, and it's a very odd. I don't know if it's. The only way I can explain was Benny Hill a mate of one of them, and they introduced this character because the characters he's perverted. Is a bit weird, like to have that character,
but
it doesn't take
weird.
it away.
It's more than a bit weird.
It's just like, but why is he even in the film? Like you could have had any other character. I'm guessing somebody went, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we had Benny Hill
as the mad scientist? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or he was like, oh, Benny is shooting a couple of the studios down. Do you want to see if he can do this role like for a week? And it is just a bit odd. But of course we get that. Yeah, we get the CCTV, we get the scenes, everything's being set up. They're all listening to one of them's got a radio signal, isn't it, to listen to the announcement that they've loaded the gold. But from that Charlie again is he's arguing with they're being a bit cocky. I want to do this. I want to do that. I need to sit on the back, oh, what about my asthma?
Or motion
and he's like, it again, what we mentioned, it just shows that then, they might be good at their job, but they're not a professional unit as you would think a criminal gang should be. They are still a bit, come on, lads. you don't know what you're really doing sometimes, but it's a thing. So we get the go. Everything's a go. The money's on the truck. They're on their move. Let's get dressed. So okay, it's what Sandy said earlier. They all get into their blue overalls,
dapper blue jumpsuits.
Yeah. So, sorry,
it's just funny. It's like, why? Why do they have to all be in the? I don't know if it's about recognizing the people on your own team, so you don't accidentally clock one of your own team members in the head or whatever. Why wouldn't you want to try to blend in with the crowd rather than all be in the same uniform? This piece, I was just wondering how unsmart this was.
Yeah, I wonder if it was the same at the time, is the same color as the England tracksuits.
Oh, so they would blend in with
they would blend in.
Revelers. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if it is because I could have been, might not be. It might just be random, or it was work. It could have been something like that. Maybe at the time there was something everybody would link with that blue.
I took it as they actually wanted to stand out a little bit to make sure that after they make the switch, that's what people were looking for, was the blue jumpsuits, versus them now being in the kind of English supporters, for the football club.
Smart.
I figured, it was more of like, let's make you guys let's stand out purposely so that everybody's looking for these blue jumpsuits. And while you're looking for that, we're slipping out the back door in, England gear, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's smart because it was the same thing with the big truck and switching to the minis. So I think you're right, Jay. I think you're right.
Maybe, yeah. So we get that. Now this is where we're probably going to all agree we can't believe it's a PG, because of this next scene.
Yeah,
because it is quite violent because I've not done it because of YouTube, but the guy smacks him one of the
right in the head.
Police things right over the head with a 2B4. Yeah, literally just bang like that. So we have they managed to, after they have a little traffic signals are going a bit weird and everything's coming up, they managed to cut them off, and then they do get violent. It's literally, you realize these are gangsters. This is the highest. They do some against the things, but the rest of it, they have water cannons there. They even kill the people must be driving this, because the guy says pull out the water cannons, they blow it up.
Has to be. Yeah.
So there is things, but I was surprised just because of this little scene where they say mild violence, when a guy gets smacked in the head by a 2x4. So I'm like,
I think it slips into that rating just because they stay guns free, because they really don't use guns or weapons like that in this. Even the water can, the cannon here it looks like a little tank, but it's just a water cannon.
Yeah, just the mafia holding them I think, when they're on the hillsides.
Right, you see them holding them, but they don't even use them. So I think that's probably the only thing that one of the few things that got it by in terms of the rating.
Yeah, but but it is I like this. So we get at this point we get the old guy who we've never been introduced. He's walking around taking out all the CCTV things, and I love it, like the whole at this thing, the portrayal of a British person abroad. He asks him for directions because the guy's in the way of the CCTV, and he's just like, bloody foreigners. But you're the foreigner.
You're the foreigner. I know.
But it does that even to that. There's a point what we missed out is when he's like, remember lads, they drive on the wrong side of the road. It's like that. It's just and it's just funny.
Which I always find interesting, considering we drive on the right side of the road, right as in correct.
Do you know? But this is a fun fact. Do you know why you drive on the left and we drive on the left and you drive?
I actually don't. I've never known why. Yeah,
no,
we're right.
No, because the manufacturing, you built it because of the manufacturer. Yeah, we had a scientist realize that everybody's right eye is more prominent. So if you're on the right hand side of the car, you will see oncoming cars and can react quicker to oncoming cars, and that's why we drive on the left.
I don't know if I believe it. I'd have to see the
Stephen Fry told me it was on QI.
I
believe it. Stephen,
I don't know. I do believe Stephen Fry. I love QI.
When I heard it, I was
like, an English excuse.
It's actually but we're not the only people that drive on that side of the road.
I actually didn't realize Italy drove on the right side of the road. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
I thought we were one of the few that did. I didn't know.
No, most of Europe.
No, most of the world.
And you guys, most of the world does it. You guys still think you're the right ones, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why we get cheap Japanese cars, because they drive on the correct side of the road.
Well, next time you guys want to
Yeah.
talk about our unit of measurement and try to use the argument that most of the world uses yours, I don't want to hear it.
Well, let me go back to your point about the comment about bloody foreigners. So this film was only nominated for one award, and it was a Golden Globe.
Oh.
And it was foreign language film.
Really?
Foreign language. Oh, wait,
So the American voters of the Golden Globe, it's not foreign film, it's foreign language film. I don't understand.
A couple of Italian bits into it, even the mafia.
You're British. You're British is a foreign language, apparently.
That is brilliant. That is
to our American ears. Yeah, I thought that was strange. Quite strange.
That is I would like to know if it maybe from that it was well accepted, but we'll get that when we get to the end. You've got your numbers ready
about that.
Yeah so the things, but of course we get that. And I think like this is what Sandy said when they get the vehicle, the heavy arms car, but it's not an armed vehicle, it's just a Land Rover or Range Rover gets taken in there, and of course they're surrounding it, breaking it all off, and of course, but inside we see they're all getting ready with the minis. And it is, I like this, it's you realize once they do it is why minis, they're setting out, because they can go anywhere apparently like that, and they get away straight away down the things. Now it looks like this again, of course it's all practical, but it doesn't look like they're having to use any like beams or help, because they're not going to be able to CGI them out. So I'm guessing when they go all down the even when they're what's it called, the church
steps. They're not ramps.
They've not ramped it off. They're all, you can, it's all like it's all done. I don't know if they had to do something with the tires or something, but or something they took multiple times to get the right shot. But this is like, this is indoors. Like I'm guessing they wouldn't get the permission this day to kind of think like a stately home.
Yeah, I have to think that Top Gear has recreated every part of this film in some way, shape, or form, right? I have to think if we go back far enough, because this movie obviously is one of the greatest influences on Top Gear. And yeah, this is some kind of stately home. Now, I will say in Washington, D.C., the building that today is the Museum of Industry, I believe, has these great big sprawling staircases. They're very wide, but they're very shallow. And it's because I believe it's during the Civil War and after the Civil War, they actually housed horses in this building that was some other kind of office building, but then it was used during the war because it had shallow steps that the horses could go up. And they were stabled in this building. And this reminded me of that. Great big staircases that not only could a car go down easily, but also, a whole, whatever we call a herd of horses that could come down these stairs. So, and this is Italy. So I'm sure there are plenty of stately homes that are like this with these big, wide staircases, but no one would think, again,
it's beautiful, like the architecture, like this movie.
About
the architecture, like makes you want to go to Italy.
Oh my gosh, wait till I do all my shorts from Italy when I get to Italy. Talk about my little architecture shorts. But this film, then it kind of quickly goes from, when I was, kind of referencing, how it influenced Top Gear and how it influenced other chases. Now we're in the Blues Brothers territory, because if you recall, in the Blues Brothers, we're driving through a shopping mall.
Yeah.
and they're cruising and they're looking, baby clothes on sale. Oh, Pier 1. Hey, have you checked out the Pier 1 on Pier 39? No, I like the Pier 1 on Pier 12 better than the Pier 1 on Pier 39. And and they're going through and then in this film the guy even grabs a chicken. There's a chicken.
Oh yeah,
but
not in a can.
This is so Blues Brothers. The Blues Brothers definitely took this away.
Yeah, but like again, it's like you could that's a about like a 20-minute sequence about like that. But this could have gone on for ages. But I think they've done it like the time lapse. It's good because it makes you go, the Mini, of course, the Mini, you know, and it makes it all sound. So you get like of course, you get the car chase whilst they've changed vehicles, of course, what Jay said, into the like a camper van, and they're all dressed up, you know, in their England gear whilst they've got a chase. Now I'm guessing they did it for the effect of, I'm guessing it wasn't part of the plan of like to go up that onto the that building. I'm guessing it's a famous building there that they drove on because they've got that purpose ramp and then they kind of go up, don't they, onto the roof and then come back down. I'm guessing it was there just because somebody went, wouldn't it be cool if they drove up onto a roof, and they went, that building's curved and look, they could drive onto it. Because I'm guessing that's not a plan to get up there, because the only plan is because the police vehicle stalls. So that bit was a bit odd, but the rest of it is great. Like even when I'm guessing there is a purpose a track around Turin, I'm guessing, because they're stuck on it and they're like, you need to find the exit to get out, but they're
going around and around. Yeah,
they're going around and round and round. And then of course we get
now what is this? Is this a car show? Like,
it's a car lot.
Little umbrellas.
Car lot, yeah. Yes, you used to have them quite a lot. I'm guessing things. It's just like rows of cars, car lot. Yeah, and I'm guessing
okay.
I'm guessing because this lot is Fiat, isn't they? Then they move around to the corner, and there's a little British group, like where they hide in amongst the other minis. But I'm guessing it's just, I just assume it's just the normal car lot.
Just a rental. You mean like
just like a dealership, maybe? I don't know, maybe, or
just like
or it could have been
umbrellas. Cute.
Yeah, you used to get that quite a lot. Yeah,
we don't have so much now. We don't have those here. No.
Oh, yeah.
Not with the little umbrellas.
Yeah, I went to one. Yeah, like a Nissan dealership, and they had them all out. I'm guessing because if you look at the car, like it starts raining, I'm guessing you can just like.
Oh, well, next time I'm in London or England, Britain, I'll have to find a car lot.
I didn't really. Yeah. They had them, not all like loads around like this one. I'm guessing there's loads there. Maybe it's for the sun in Italy. I don't know.
Interesting.
Have a look at your shade.
Yeah.
So so it back to it, like this is all happening, and then of course you got the buffoon police don't know what's going on. They're just being a bit shouty. They're having a go at all the traffic people because it's going things, and even you see a clip of the mafia as well. They're like, well, they can't get out because look at the traffic, and they're the head guy is very much of like, if they instigated this, so they must know a way out. And I like that. So he's even though look, and I think it doesn't even say at one point like the English are more clever than they look or something. I can't remember what it is.
It was a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so I just like that, and it's a good little car chase, really, like the whole thing. And then of course they get like through the city. I would love to how it was like if it's all in Turin. I'm guessing most of it was like because of the landscape and like the architecture. But I wonder if it was all done like how many days? Because like to knock off a city, like you would think you wouldn't get much. Like now, you're not going to get. You can have a day. You're not having a week, like that. So, just the effects, like the practical to do it, and they like that's going across the. I guess in the river. I guess in like there's a little bit of things. I thought this was good.
I thought this looked cool, but in my mind, I'm like, there's no way you would ever take the risk of flooding your engine with that much gold in your car. So I thought it made for a great look, but then when I started applying logic to it, I'm like, if you're in the middle of a heist, you're not planning to take the added risk of flooding.
But wasn't there at the beginning when he says what you're doing, they reference that he's putting plating underneath the car?
Oh, see, I thought that was for weight.
No, that was the next one. That's when he says we're
so I might have missed that then.
Yeah, so I'm sure they were doing like so. Okay. Yeah, it was on the first car. He said something. It's like really off the cuff, like say.
Since
but I think
you brought it up. Since you brought it up, are we allowed to bring some logic and physics into this conversation? Shall I bring it in now? The weight of one bar of gold is 28 pounds.
Really?
That's why they carry them in those little, if you notice, they're in these little baskets that only have 4 or 8 bars in them, because one basket of 4 bars is over 100 pounds. Therefore,
henceforth,
filling a trunk of a Mini with, let's say, even 100 bars of gold, right? Think about how it's going to be greater than the weight of the Mini. 10 bars of gold is I'm sorry. 10 bars of gold is going to be 280 pounds. 100 bars of gold is 2,800 pounds, greater than the weight of the Mini. There's no way a Mini could move with a trunk full of gold, even if it could move, it could not accelerate. Now, one thing they do get well is when they're kind of sloshing around on the wet piazza, when the sidewalk is getting washed down or whatever, and they're on and the back spins out. Yeah, that's a little bit correct, but there's no way this would work with Minis, because the more you reinforce the trunk, the more weight you're adding to the car. And so I'm sorry, Abe. I'm sorry to suspend disbelief here, but I know. But there's just no way. There's no way it could happen.
Oh my God, wait till we get a time travel movie. God.
I know, right? I know. But anyway, no, tons of fun, but just,
yeah, I know, but like, I've never been into a Mini that is probably like old Minis, not the new BMW ones, that were probably over like 1.1 cylinders.
Yeah.
Like that. So
yeah.
They haven't got big engines into them. They're
Bless
like
them. I wonder if Top
they're
Gear did
like
that. I bet they did. I know if we dig hard enough, we're going to find a Top Gear episode where they put that much weight in the trunk of a Mini to see if they could carry it.
They've got to, yeah. And so,
they had
like, yeah. But like with a V8 engine or something in a Mini, they had to
they juiced it up. They juiced it up.
Let's get some nitro in that. It'd be fine. Oh, brilliant. But then we get that.
Transformers definitely was a documentary, Abe. We know Transformers was.
Yeah, definitely. So, of course, Mr. Bridger gets told he's reading his paper as what he's relaxing. And then he's Loof, I'm going to guess he's a little servant boy, runs in. They did it. Because he's every cheering outside, and he goes in to take his applause. I like a bit silly this one.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
But I said this to my girlfriend. I was like, now we can have this because it's England, but that's all we get. Like, you get a lot of movies where it's USA. So we get this. We get one movie where we chant our country name. That's not of course a sports movie, but I was like, you know what, it's a bit corny. He's taking his bow. It goes on probably for too long, and then he goes and sits down for a nice, very nice meal, doesn't he, at the end of it? But whilst that's going on, it kind of goes with the why again they're using Minis, and again it's clever. It's now this bit again. They probably did it on
they
Top Gear.
Definitely did this on Top Gear.
This is like I was like, this is good, like stunt driving as well, because one, they've got to foul the first time and then line it up to do it correctly. But this is quite dangerous. Like to do,
and like
they
said, you have to slam on the brakes as soon as all 4 wheels are on the thing. You have to slam on the brakes, or else you'll just fly right through the truck. Yeah.
But again, it looks good. It's all practical. It's literally, they closed off probably an old part of a motorway to do this. But I like this because it's just like, oh, this is good practical, and it's like, again, it's clever because the Minis fit perfectly inside their getaway coach, I suppose you want to call it. It's like that. So they get into that again. I suppose logic with that many cars and that much gold, it's going to slow that coach down a hell of a lot. But I like it. I like just seeing it be done in a way they've done it, as they just could do it straight away. The stunt driver had to mess up. you know, with the, especially like with one of the cars, he struggles to get up there. And I think, is it Charlie's one? No, you got to speed up to it and then slam on the brakes. And it's like that. And like, I always feel like a girlfriend pointed out, the last car has the hardest job because they can zoom in and
there's
then
no room to stop.
There's no room. Yeah. So it's good, like cleverly done. I think it's a good little, I think it's been done in other movies, definitely.
I'm
like
sure
this
Fast and
Getaway.
Furious did
Yeah.
it.
It's like a things. But of course, now the police are looking for minis. There's no minis like that. And I say, like, they're looking for people in blue. It's probably right what Jay said. They're looking for people in blue outfits, but no, they're now football supporters. And of course, they like, whilst Mr. Bridges is having his little cheer, they're now picked everybody. I think this is where they now are destroying all the vehicles. Again, they push them out every time there's a turn in. The coach driver, go, and he goes bang, bang, like that. So that's it.
You've go back. Go back. You have captured one of those. We haven't used the word cliche in a long time in Film Club. For the last few films, we haven't used the word cliche, but I think only 2 or 3 times in this film do we get the gratuitous, ridiculous explosion when a car,
none of the other minis do. It's just the last one.
It almost seemed like they tried it with the first 2 and it didn't. So by the 3rd one, they were like, all right, we need to put something in this car so we have an explosion here.
Yeah, it's the cars don't explode like that.
They don't explode like that, but hey, we had to throw one in. So
it looked cool enough. It was just funny too, because you could tell it was something in the car that sets off the explosion, because it happens almost immediately. Like the car doesn't even really tumble before it starts exploding. And then it just like rolls down the hill in flames.
Yeah, somebody when there was blatantly an effects guy was like, "We've got enough for one."
Yeah,
they were like, "Oh yeah." They went, "Do you want to use it?" And they all went, "Yes, yes, please, please."
And they were just a little too quick on the button there, and so it blows up kind of before it takes any real damage, and then it just tumbles down the hill.
Yeah,
but it did look cool by the end of it. So,
it did, it's a good way to get rid of the car as well. But yes, and then the last one. So they're off, and then they pick up all the other, I suppose the other parts of the gangs who now they're all celebrating. Everybody's having a jolly. They've got the gold. They're away to Switzerland, so they now.
Again. And I love the little song that's playing here, by the way. I wanted to point that out. The Self-Preservation Society.
Self-Preservation Society.
I love the little song going on here. It made the scene really fun.
Oh, it's like, it goes with it. I think that very famous with this part. And of course, they're going around. Again, the scenery looks beautiful. Like the bit when they're in the Alps is absolutely amazing. And then
they're celebrating.
I'm going to say,
they're having fun.
Yeah, and then of course we go around next corner, and then we have a cliffhanger. Literally,
little bit on the nose.
So he goes too fast around the corner. Now, Jay, did you expect this bit?
I didn't. I have to say I didn't, and I definitely didn't expect it to be, the way that it all ends. Well, so you kind of start to expect it when you see how kind of like, crazy he's driving around the corner. Yeah, like when you see all the kind of chaos inside the bus happening. Whoa. I mean, it's celebratory. It's good chaos, but he's driving crazy. They're all having a drink and, going from side to side. So as you see the camera start to focus on the tires as he's going around the turns, you're like, oh, okay, something's going to happen here. But in terms of, after they are all kind of on the bus and ready to go from the point where they meet up, no, I definitely didn't see it coming or see it ending this way.
Yeah, this has been this kind of ending, I suppose, has been used so much. Like I think the latest thing, the Brits definitely a chat with I think a program called Brassic. They ripped this off completely, carbon copied it, but it's been done so many times. But of course, in this, now they're stuck on the edge. Charlie and everybody's like panicking. They've like move this way, move back. So they get back. Of course, they're right on the edge. They're about to go over. Charlie realizes we need to get the gold, move it this way. And of course, he slowly crawls there. We get the little tilt, the horizon goes. Now that's like, of course, it's a screen like that. Then of course done, but it's still a bit funny. And of course, then Charlie, don't worry, lads, I've got a plan. And then it's the end. It just pans out. I like it. Now there's always been theories. I know that of like there was a number 2, always apparently scripted, being hidden away in a vault because they were like, no, just leave it. That's it. It's done. We don't need a sequel. And I agree. I just like it. I know a lot. I was reading some of reviews and like modern, I suppose, generation hate it. And I was like, they hate this ending, and I love it. I think it's really it plays on the movie that you just see, because it's a not a full comedy caper, it's a slapstick comedy caper. Everybody, I suppose, like even against Charlie, is a bit dumb, and this to end to them when they're all celebrating, yeah, we got one over, we'll bite off the Italians and the mafia, and they don't get their own uppance, when they're not the cleverest, like, oh, the sharpest tool in the box.
They're not. These are a bunch of ragtag, kind of the leftovers. But this ending, this is, and I would write a little mini. I almost wrote an essay on it. Closure, in works of art, whether it's a film or a song that doesn't end with the key resolving itself, or The Sopranos that ends with a black screen. When we look at a film or any work of art as something that was taken out of life or compared too closely to reality, then what that does is it diminishes the creation. So bear with me for a minute. The writer here wrote a creation, a film. He didn't create characters with a great big backstory. These characters won't live on. There's not a sequel. The story ended. So everyone will say, well, what happened? Did they, and there's all these mathematical equations about how they could get out. It doesn't matter, because the story ended. It doesn't matter whether an equation would work, or rolling, or putting their belts together and trying to drag bars of gold one at a time. None of that actually matters, because the story has ended. And it's the same with The Sopranos. Everyone argues, does Tony Soprano live or die? And my answer is, it doesn't matter. The story that David Chase created ended. We don't need to worry about whether Tony lived or died, because the story ended where it did. And
it's better to have a discussion about it.
Yeah, the story is not meant to mirror life. It's not close to, it is rooted in reality, but the creation itself. And that's why sequels bother me so much, and some prequels, because that original creation of Jurassic Park stands on its own, and we shouldn't worry about where did those dinosaur eggs go, or where did, Dr. Alan Grant end up. That story ended. And here, this story ends just here. We don't need to worry about where they go. It's nice to think about, it's fun to speculate, but in terms of grading a story like this or The Sopranos on what you think the ending should have been, I think that's a disservice to the creator. I think that the writer wrote what he wrote, and the story ends here. So thus is what I say on the subject of the original cliffhanger right here.
Yeah. Now, Jay, this was your first time watching the good Italian Job. I hope that's right. I think. But did you think, or did you go, get it?
Yeah. So I actually fall on the opposite end of that opinion, but just for this movie. So I completely agree with everything Sandy just said in regards to, cliffhanger endings and kind of leaving the ability to think, one, the aspect of being able to kind of just wonder and think and talk about what might have happened, what you think might have happened, but also the idea that that's the story they were trying to tell. So that's like, nothing else really matters beyond that, even if it does open up a lot of thought. So I have no issue with a cliffhanger ending in general. I just felt like, or I feel like sometimes it feels better used when it's in a movie that's a little bit more thought-provoking. Like one that comes to mind immediately is Inception, where he spins his little totem at the end of the movie, and you're supposed to wonder, was it a dream? Was it not a dream? Did these things really happen? Like movies like that, I feel like it fits a little bit better because this was such like a lighter movie in tone and theme, a little bit of a comedy, and just a bit, just a heist movie, just a different kind of movie in general, where it doesn't make you think that much. It's not that thought-provoking, although it is, clever and funny and all that. I just kind of wanted a little bit more of a solid ending of just, did they make it out of this spot or not? It felt like watching it, when the credits came on here, I was shocked. I'm like, oh, I did not expect it to end there. So I didn't love it, but I don't hate it either. At first I felt a little bit like, like I was screwed out of an ending. Like, I would have liked to have seen what happened after that. But the more I've processed it since I've watched it, I'm okay with it. But I definitely don't love the choice to have done it this way here. But that's not the type of ending I have a foundation or a fundamental, dislike for. I do like a good cliffhanger.
Yeah, literally. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and quite literally on this. I also thought it was like a little too on the
nose. But that's what I'm saying. You get them movies though that do, like you just mentioned Inception. That I think does as well. But you get them other ones that tries to do like a good, clever cliffhanger, and you just come out annoyed. This doesn't do it.
This is somewhere in the middle of like it was fine, and I'm okay with it. Although I might have preferred kind of a more definitive ending. But yeah, I would agree. It's not one that does it great like some movies do, and it's not one that does it incredibly poorly like some do. It's right in the middle of like, okay, I can accept it.
I think it would have been different if they were all clever. I think this just shows they didn't know exactly. They were lucky, really. They had a plan. It wasn't their plan, and they all came, at the end. It's thing because like what could have been the ending? They would have just gone over the Swiss Alps, or they would have got captured by the mafia. Maybe. Like I just think this is a good ending to what you could have got. Maybe
I would have been maybe more okay with the idea of like them just kind of riding off and not knowing. Do the mafia catch up with them at some point? Like more of a do they get caught? Does the mafia catch them? Does the law catch them? Type of thing versus a very random like life or death scenario that kind of felt like it came from nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. That's it. So anyway, we did have a poll going. I'm going to end the poll now. So there was a poll. We can see some immature people in our chat. Abe, I'm looking at you. So the question was, you're only supposed to blow. Oh, sorry, should I do it in the accent? You're only supposed to blow the bloody, and it was to pay off, the doors off, pants off, or Tinder matches off. There was 44% for pants off. And then doors off won at 56. So that's it. So we had quite a lot of people vote there. So I'm going to end now. So doors off, of course, won. Abe nosy pot pants. Yeah. There we go. But yeah, so I'm going to go, Jay. Let's go with you because this was your first time, and you kind of had a little bit of a recognition of Italian Job. Now, when this did come on, I think you did think it was that one, didn't you?
Yeah. I actually didn't realize there was an original. I was shocked. I'm like, really, the Mark Wahlberg one? And then you guys said it was this one. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. I didn't realize it was
guys
original.
Are mad.
But no, I actually really enjoyed it. I love a good heist movie. I fell in love with heist movies. Not that I've seen. I guess maybe I shouldn't say fell in love because I haven't seen like a ton of them, but the first one that I really loved was Ocean's 11, with not the Rat Pack one, the one with George Clooney and Brad Pitt and all those guys. I love that movie, and then I followed along that series, although the sequels weren't particularly good. But I just love those kind of fun, very sly with the characters and the dialogue, very clever kind of heist movies, especially when they're lighter in tone and more comedic. I do like some of the more intense ones, like I was thinking of trying to think of some of the ones I've seen in the past after I've watched this. And Inside Man with Denzel Washington and Clive Owen. It's a little bit more intense, a little bit more serious in terms of a heist movie. The Town with Ben Affleck and Jeremy Renner. Another more intense kind of heist movie where they rob Fenway and all that. So I do like those style as well. But something about this lighthearted, very clever, very sly, smooth talker kind of characters in this kind of setting for these heists. It's just a fun ride. And I thought this one was that. Michael Caine's character is really fun to watch. You can see a lot of influence from this movie on other movies that have come out that I've seen, whether it be something a little silly and goofy like Austin Powers, or like I just mentioned, Ocean's 11, the remake. Again, I don't know how much of that is more like this or more like the original Ocean's 11, but I saw a lot of comparisons between this and that movie. So I had a lot of fun with it. I give it a very solid 6.5. I guess I shouldn't say very solid if I'm going to give it a little range there, but I give it about a 6.5, but a very good one. I had a lot of fun watching it. Logic and plot, there's a little bit of like stuff that seems a little random or missing, or sometimes a little illogical, but not in a way that it really takes you out of it or breaks the fun that you're having watching it. It's one I'd absolutely watch again, and I loved the it's simple story. It's not as clever as, say, an Ocean's movie, or specifically Ocean's 11, because I know the second one was kind of stupid, to be honest. But it's not as clever in the way they carry everything out, but it's still fairly clever. Like, as you said, as you get into points of it, you're like, oh, that was smart, and this was smart. Like the minis going onto the bus, like, oh yeah, that's really clever. I like that. So it's got its cleverness, it's got its charm, it's got its humor, it's got good acting. So I really liked it. It's definitely a recommend. I give it about 6.5, and it's one that I would definitely watch again. And the look, I don't know if I mentioned that, but the look of it was great. That 60s style, from fashion to vehicles, all of it, it's really sharp looking.
Yeah. Glad you liked it. And
yeah, this was a good one. I enjoyed it.
This was higher than your favorite Italian Job.
Oh yeah, this was considerably better than the Mark Wahlberg one, for sure.
Oh god, they're not comparison. I remember. Oh,
yeah, it's not even the same in like tone. From what I can remember. Again, this one reminds me so much of an Ocean's movie, and the remake of it reminds me so much of just trying to do a heist blockbuster action flick all at once, and it doesn't have the same tone, the same charm, none of that.
Oh, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, we're still
sorry. I pressed the button and then it all went silent. And I was like, "Oh my god!" And I literally killed my own audio. That's it. It's like, yeah, cool, excellent. So, Sandy, I'm gonna, you got some notes, and then maybe
I've got some notes I do want to share. So this and it's kind of interesting how this film came to be. So the writer Troy Kennedy Martin, who's written other screenplays and films, got the idea from his brother Ian Martin, who sold him the idea. Interestingly enough, are you seeing my screen? Yeah, you're seeing my screen.
Yep.
And then Troy turned it into a film. It was directed by Peter Collinson and released in 1969, starring Sir Michael Caine, Sir Noel Coward, Maggie Bly, and Benny Hill. Now, we haven't mentioned Noel Coward yet. So for those who don't know, Noel Coward, more famously a playwright. Actually, I've never seen him in acting in a film before. I didn't know he was an actor, but he's written like some really famous plays like Private Lives and Blithe Spirit. And I learned a little bit more about Noel Coward. By the way, Mr. Bridger, that's who Mr. Bridger is. So he was too old to serve in World War II. He was born in 1899. So he was in his mid 40s during World War II. But instead, he went to France to run the British propaganda office in Paris, including after Paris was, taken over by the Germans. So I thought that was a pretty cool bit of information about Sir Noel Coward. In several British newspapers after the release of this film, because so many people were concerned about the violence against cars perpetrated in this film, 2 Jaguar E-Types, 1 Aston Martin DB4, a Lamborghini Miura, and what was reported as, quote, several Mini Coopers, and then many other vehicles were sacrificed in the making of this film. So, yeah, quite a few cars were destroyed in making this film. So for me, as I mentioned, take out the entire story of this film, and it is a capsule of the late 1960s. Everything from, really the care taken to incorporate music, fashion, the cars, the look, both when in London and when in Italy. of the 60s. There are also some shots, we mentioned the camera angles, but there were also some pretty artistic shots through different parts of the film. There were a couple of shots using shadows, and kind of walking behind screens and blinds and things like that. I thought it was just so carefully shot. Oddly, maybe it was not nominated for any awards. And when I dug into, was this film a success or not monetarily, the information on the office numbers is so sketchy. I didn't even do my numbers chart, because different sites are reporting different box office success or failures. A couple of sites say it made 2 million in the UK, on a budget of 400,000. Other sites were saying it made only 190,000 on a budget of 400,000. So it was very strange. And I think the problem is it was comparing the UK and the US box office numbers. This was definitely not a hit in the US. A couple of sites said it only made 68,000 in the United States in a limited release. So it probably wasn't really released theatrically here in the United States. It could also be they're trying to hide the numbers because of the maybe how they calculated the loss on the cars that were purchased versus the cars that were donated and all of that for this film. So I have nothing to report, but it was not a box office success or critically acclaimed. And that, that's down to not just the numbers, but the fact that it wasn't nominated for anything. I would at least think for cinematography or principal photography, it maybe should have gotten a little bit of, a little bit of acclaim, or at least some kind of consideration. And I don't think that the performances were bad. This is, I hate to keep saying this. We're starting to be cliche, but this is Michael Caine being Michael Caine. Well, yeah, it is. It's the accent, and it's the being the lad, and the player. But then, of course, after thinking about all of those things, I thought, what should I have done first? Look to see what other films were 1969 films. What were the top films in 1969? So you had films like Goodbye, Mr. Chips. You had Hello, Dolly, Easy Rider, True Grit, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which was, I believe that might have been the Oscar winner. Midnight Cowboy, a lot of gritty films on this list. The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. So I'm thinking, Paint Your Wagon. There were a bunch of Western and Western type films here. So I'm thinking maybe it just didn't catch on because there were other better films. For me, it's definitely a rewatch. It's definitely a recommend. This film is, it's just a great capsule of the 1960s, and a good, relatively simple story told well with some good performances. I also give this film a 6. And that's a good rating for me. And I was really happy to watch it again and to see it through different eyes. I think the last time I saw this might have been when I was like in my early 20s, and all I was looking for was the action and the story, but I wasn't looking at the scenery and everything else that this film tells us. So definitely a recommend from me.
Yeah. Now, for myself, I would have started this off. This is a 6 movie, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. This rewatch, I don't know why. It might be like, so I'm going to get off the bat. I'm going to give it a 7. It's a soft 7, but still a 7, because I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly sat there, really enjoying a movie, and I love that. And I think that's what Film Club does. It revigates some movies I haven't seen for a while, and it's been like, you know what, this is a fun ride. There's nothing wrong with this movie. You just sit back and you can enjoy it. It doesn't have to be like overly clever. The caper is subtle. The crime element is subtle. They haven't gone. Oh, here is a good example. A modern day Ryan Johnson, that they introduced something that was never there to surprise people. You get some like heist movies that do that. They're like, I didn't see that coming because it wasn't in the movie.
Right.
This it's just drawn out very, very, very nicely. And when they do the how they explain what's going on, I think they do it in a subtle tone, like with the black and white videos. I like that a bit. But I say the tone on this movie is great. It is so British. This movie is so British, even though it's set in Europe as most of it. But it has got a British tone. It's got that 60s vibe to it. It's coming off some great other, of course, British blockbusters that were, I suppose, exported to the United States. This one, didn't possibly do that well, because I think it's just very, very heavily too British, if that makes sense. And it's just it's not got that. So. It's not a I suppose got that British humor. It's very subtle. It's makes you giggle, makes you smile, but it's not overly like you got those. I can't remember the movie genres of that time, but you got those ones that are only Brits will get it. Nobody else will get it. This one sits in the middle. They were trying to give it to an international market. It's not, but it's still a silly caper. I'm glad I put it on the list, because I said when I was it's a classic, British classic anyway. And when I watched it, I smiled, and that's what I liked. I was like, that's good. I like that. I really liked it. So yeah, I probably will switch between, as you two, like it's 6 or 7. I might like it again, but it's a recommend. I think it's great to see that 60s style and like that, and how you can do the use of props. Really, your props are the clothing, the cars, and of course the music to help with that. Take along a very simple story, but it just looks classically cool as well. It's like that shame, like I always said, like James Bond, if they do when they finally get around to again recasting it, just set it back in the 60s. I think it works.
Please do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would work.
It's just such a stylish era.
Yeah.
It's just such a great look to it.
Yeah. And and in this movie, like I know James Bond is probably a bad reference, because he if it's 60s James Bond, he's a bit more coy with the women in this, but the women aren't degraded like other 60s movies as well. I said we've got that they're subtly there. They're not part of the story really. They're like, even with his girlfriend who gets sent away, she doesn't have to come along for the ride. But that's it. But it's not needed, because this movie is headline. It's about Sir Michael Caine. That's it. This is a Sir Michael Caine movie, and he's good in it. He's not I'd say like he's not terrible, to be nominated. Oh my god, you're getting a what I called it, what are raspberry ones called? He's not bad in it.
Raspberry.
He's not,
Golden raspberry.
Yeah,
he's
the
not.
Razzies,
Yeah, he's not over the top. Going for that Oscar. He's just this is my role, and this is what I'm doing. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a fun ride.
Mm-hmm.
So the next we've got
before we go to the next.
Before we go to the next.
Today was our 25th.
Oh, no kidding. Hey.
Today is our silver anniversary film club. We've done 25.
Did you buy me?
25 of these, plus a little short, plus a little, plus my little dinner for one. Wow, it went by fast. We've done 25 of these. We haven't even made a dent in that wheel of film.
Only 200.
We've only got 215. Yeah, 50. Yeah.
Well, we
no, more than that, because
we added
more. Moneyball got added, and I can't remember what else got added. A couple more got added. So it's stands at 256. So
I have a question for both of you.
Yeah.
So I think, James, you and I had our Napoleon adventure, I think it was May of last year, that kind of started this.
Yeah.
And it was because we were looking forward to something to see together that we could have an opinion on. And we talked a little bit about this pre-stream, but I have a question for both of you. What are you looking forward to in film this year?
I'm not looking forward to actually anything. I'm intrigued of what Superman's going to be, but do I want to go to cinema and watch it? I don't think at the moment it's intrigued me enough. That's the problem. I don't think I've got to that point where I'm like, oh, you know what? I might give this a punt at the cinema. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's ones I'm like, oh, that might be a good movie, but I can give it like it'd be a limited release or something like that. I can't like that. You go, oh, that might be good, but I guarantee it'll be like, it won't be at my local cinema. It'd be like a clinch one, like somewhere. But no, nothing's grabbed nothing at the moment. Maybe gone, ooh, That's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
Jay,
honestly,
what about
same
you?
for me at this point. There's nothing that I'm like, wow, I really want to see that. A few that I'm intrigued. I would say yes, Superman's one. The Fantastic Four trailer. I honestly, like I said in my video of it, I didn't think it was a bad trailer, didn't think it was a great trailer. It just didn't disappoint me, which is okay for now. I'll take that. I'm still interested to see it, but I wouldn't say I have a ton of faith in either movie. They're going to have to really kind of prove it to me. But in terms of those two, I can only be honest with what I've seen so far. What I've seen in the trailers looks decent enough that I'm intrigued. But that's just the blockbusters too. Like, I love a good movie that's just a good movie that's so far away from the blockbuster realm.
Yeah.
And I'm not even really seeing anything in that kind of style.
No. I'm hoping there's a
nothing's-
hidden gem. I really do
like
hope there's a hidden
that's what
gem.
I'm hoping comes up, because there's nothing really that's like, from your dramas or your thrillers or anything like that that's really catching my eye either. The blockbuster scene looks barren. The movie scene in general, to me at this point, just looks, the schedule coming up doesn't look great. So there's nothing there. Now I will still go to the theater.
Sandy, sorry, can I just put it? Sandy has got Wicked Part 2.
Oh yeah, you did.
Well, no, and I was like looking back at new books that have been released in the last few years, and there are a handful that they're not in development yet at all, but there are a handful in development that I hope, or I'm sorry, there are a handful that have been released in book form that I hope someday might be developed, into a film. And so I mentioned before the Ron Charnel Grant book, the book on U.S. Grant, which initially was turned into a 3-part series on the History Channel. But Leonardo DiCaprio was originally associated with a potential film on Grant, and really strip away the blonde hair, just the facial features, he actually does resemble a younger Ulysses S. Grant. So I think that would be intriguing. I also think the new Dan Brown book on Henry V, which is not the Shakespeare play Henry V made by Ken Branagh, which I absolutely adore, but a more historically based film on Henry V could be amazing. He was an amazing king, reigned for a short period of time, done in by disease, not a sexy ending for him, but accomplished so much in his short, really interesting life. So there are those are like the 2 books that I would hope would be turned into film. And there are a few other like original stories that are being released soon that, maybe down the line, 2, 3, 4 years from now, we would get a film. I'm with both of you. I'm not highly hopeful, but I will see Superman in the theaters because I haven't seen a film in the theaters in over a year. And it was in a year, and that was Napoleon. Napoleon was the last film I saw in the theaters, which is sad. And before that, it was Spider-Man: No Way Home. Think about that. It's probably 2 films in 2 years that I've seen in the cinema. So I really hope we have something, after 25 of these, I was thinking, hey, we're going to talk about all the films that maybe in the next wave, maybe we would even put a newer film on the Wheel of Film. Heck no. There's nothing that's been released in the last several years that is worthy of the Wheel of Film. And I don't see anything in the near future that even would be. As depressing as that is, we have a lifetime of great cinema to look back on and to keep, watching. This was a 1969 film. We have films from the 40s and the 50s to go through. So I'm looking forward to celebrating our 250th when we get there, film club in a few years, and we'll still have plenty to go. So we're still remaining optimistic here.
I think once we get through this year, we might see a different set of products coming out of Hollywood. I hope, at least, because this year just feels so much like the kind of make up for the lack of writers during for choices they've made in terms of writers, but 2, the writers' strike and all that, because it's all sequels, it's all continuation crap. So I'm hoping this is kind of a palate cleanse year where they just do a bunch of that stuff, and then maybe next year we start to see some more creative things. I'll still be going to theaters for mostly, honestly, for the to see Superman, Fantastic Four, some of these blockbuster ones, because I'm going to do these reviews and all that. and anything else that's new that's not a home release that I have to go to the theater to see. One, for the review side of things, but two, I just love going to the theaters. It's been a pastime for me for so long. Grabbing your bucket of popcorn, your blue icy, or whatever you guys may have across the pond, the blue slushy frozen drink. We it's just
is it
such
solid
a
last
staple.
question then? Is it sweet or salted popcorn?
Salted, butter and salt. Yeah, butter and salt. I do usually get a chocolate or something, a little peanut M&Ms or something to go along with it. You do need a little bit
junior
of both.
mints for me. I don't do
something.
popcorn,
There's
but I
be
get
some
my
chocolate.
junior mints. Yep.
But there's that whole kind of nostalgia factor of all of it, and just the the fun nature of it in general. Like, I love a night at the movie. Like this week, I think upcoming this week is Valentine's week. And both my wife and I are a little bit busy, with some plans coming up this weekend because we just kind of forgot it was Valentine's week. So we're like, all right, let's pick one day to do something, just to make sure we do something. And it's like, it's a little too late to get dinner reservations and all that. So we're going to go to the theaters to see a movie because we love going to the movies together. Unfortunately, it's going to be the new Captain America movie, which I have no faith in whatsoever. Nope. But I have to do a review anyways of it. Or I wanted to do a review of it anyways.
I'll let you take one for the team for that.
So I'll let you guys know how that is. But half the reason we're going is to just do dinner and a movie. We're going to get something to eat, go to the movies, get our snacks, all that, just because it's a fun thing to do. So, the fact that we haven't had the greatest movies hasn't quite ruined that side of go to the theaters for me. And, doing YouTube definitely makes me go as much as I possibly can still. It's just, I want the reason that I'm going to be for good movies like it used to be, not just because I need to do a review or not just because, I love the process and the fun of going to the movies. I want that drive of going to be, there's a good movie that I want to see again, along with all those other things. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe some of these sequels even surprise us. Who knows? It's just, you see trailers like Jurassic, whatever the hell they're doing now, Jurassic Park, Scarlett Johansson, and it's just like, oof, they are really just running out of ideas.
Care, don't they? Like, we got a script out there. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like that's it. And it's just like, I think I was saying this pre-show while we were backstage. I don't think I said it at the beginning of the show, but seeing that trailer reminded me so much of the recent King Kong Godzilla movie that just came out. These kind of cringe comedic relief lines that aren't very funny, that you can tell like this character here is supposed to be the comedic relief throughout the thing, and it's action that's just action for the sake of it, to try to be a blockbuster. And it just reminded me so much of that soulless blockbuster. This is the IP we have. We're going to make this movie type of movie making.
Yeah. How much more money can we have to make? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like it's as they say, blockbuster by assembly line type of thing, or conveyor belt,
Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah. Honestly. And it's just like, give me something. Give me something that's gonna have an effect on pop culture. Something that's gonna like have ripple effect where everybody's talking about it and everybody's saying, "Did you see that? Did you see that movie? Did you go to theaters yet to see it?" Give me something.
There's no. You come out and watch a movie, or you get it at home on a streaming service, and you just don't like. Unless you are doing a YouTube review, you don't talk to your mates about it because you're like, there's nothing to talk about. Really, it's just a bit pointless. It's like that, and then it's like it's not. Gone are the days where you can go, watch that, go. Yeah, because I really need to talk to you about it before I spoil it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing at all. But next we got going on to that. We got a good one, Sandy. One of your picks, definitely. Our first Hitchcock movie.
It is our first Hitchcock, and I am pleased to report after the experience with Neuromancer, the book that inspired The Matrix. It was so horrible. Rear Window was based on a short story, which I've read about half of it, and it's very good. So I'm very happy. I'm not like dreading finishing reading the story. But we get an Alfred Hitchcock, our first James Stewart, our first Grace Kelly. So, and also a film that has been, because it's so unique and it's such a great twist, it's been used as a parody in some cases. I think I mentioned like The Simpsons and an episode of Frasier, and I even forgot there's an episode of I Love Lucy that takes off on Rear Window. So it was one of those kind of obviously it gets you thinking, as a good mystery will, but it was such a good twist that it's been used in other films and television shows and things like that. So really looking forward to that one.
Jay, you've not seen it, have you?
No, this will actually be
really
my
like this one.
first Hitchcock movie, I think. I don't think I've seen many of his, so this should be my first.
This one, yeah, I think because we kind of know what you like, I think you're gonna really like this one. I think it'd be right up your alley.
If I could recommend, I know you're pressed for time. Watch it twice if you can. All Hitchcock films you got to watch twice for one important reason, is that sort of like Orson Welles with Citizen Kane, Alfred Hitchcock pioneered a number of devices and techniques for movie making. And so it's not just about the mystery and how he sets up the mystery, but it's how he films it and how he uses the setting and how he uses things like you'll always notice in his films something about like the shot of the setting and the way he arranges a room. And I'm just going to leave it there. But, if you can, watch it once for the story and then watch it again for how it's filmed. Everything from the lighting to the, but really he obsessed about the settings of his films. And each one is very unique, from Psycho, and kind of the, the more scary, it's a mystery, but it's a horror, it's more of a horror thriller, I guess you call it a thriller, to Dial M for Murder, which is not scary at all. It's an intriguing murder mystery that has a incredibly suspenseful ending and is kind of, terror filled. But the way that is shot is completely different. And so I just suggest watch it once for the story, watch it again for how it's filmed. And Alfred Hitchcock also, and I recommend to anyone in the chat to do a little exploration of how he treated the actors on set and the crew on set. Not the nicest person in the world. In fact, there was a movie made about him and how he treated Tippi Hedren in filming The Birds. And he would, when he needed someone to depict terror, he terrorized them. When he needed someone to be incredibly sad, he mentally and psychologically made sure he got out the best performance. So take a look at that as well. Yeah, it's one of those, like, Hitchcock is so interesting because what he got out of the actors and what we see on film is quite amazing. But when you found out what he did to do that, it's like, it's a little cringy. But those were his methods at the day. So I'm looking forward to chatting about it, looking forward to finishing the short story, and also looking forward to what's the next film on the Wheel of Film.
Yes. What will the wheel pick? Now, I was going to say maybe we could get like Back to the Future, but I don't really want to because Sandy would dismantle it. So but maybe not. We got some good time stories in there. I think the wheel's getting good. I think it's giving us some winners lately, so I'm up for anything really. So
me too.
Should we do it? Should we do it? Let's do it.
Do it.
Let's do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excited.
Oh, wow. Fun. Yes. We got our
comedy.
We got our comedy.
I was not expecting that.
Oh, that's brilliant. I actually watched this recently.
Great. Yeah, I watched this within the last year, not that long ago.
Yeah.
Well,
so you know who you got to call. You do know who you got to call.
Oh, how fun.
That is good. That's good. Good. Oh, that's going to be a good one. Don't dismantle it, Sandy, with your science.
No, not at all. Stop it.
I'm kidding.
I would never.
We know we're kidding. Oh, that is good. Never. Ghostbusters. Love it. Oh, I love that movie. Oh, that is a good one. That is a good one. That is going to be a fun.
I think it was Critical. Every time I think of Ghostbusters now, Critical Drinker did a fantastic video where he broke down the kind of difference in why the original Ghostbusters was so funny and the Ghostbusters 2016 version wasn't very funny. And it's a scene by scene comparison of the guys when they're kind of like in the elevator and they're talking about the packs and how they could potentially explode, all that. It's this really, really great breakdown of how subtly clever and funny that is versus the kind of just low hanging fruit humor that they go for with the 2016 version. That
has anybody seen it?
I've never seen it. I have no
I
intention of seeing it. I won't
I've
make
got
a
so
harsh
much
criticism
bad-
of it just because I've never seen it. So I don't want to be disingenuous. It just doesn't look like something I'm interested in. So I'll be passing on it for the foreseeable future.
It just got to everybody. Everybody was like, "It's bad. It's bad." They're like, "Don't wait. Don't even waste your time." It was to that, and I was just like, "Nope, I'm done." It was just like people you trust say it. You're like, "Nah, okay,
it's just
and then
too little time in life to be wasting it watching movies that I just have no interest in. So I'm going to continue to pass on it. But if you ever get the chance to check out that video by the Critical Drinker, it's really it's really well done, and it's quite eye-opening to really show you, like, you know, because a lot of the backlash I think that came to people who were saying they didn't like that one was, oh, you just don't like it because there's women in it and it's not your original Ghostbusters, that's all males and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, if you look at somebody analytically break it down, it's really eye-opening to how comedy's done, you know, almost to like the science of comedy, which is really interesting. And it's a great video that shows the difference between clever and good comedy versus the low-hanging fruit. We're going to try to do some wacky physical stuff and all that just like doesn't really translate to laughs.
Oh wow. I didn't know he did that one.
Yeah, is this our first Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd movie? We haven't had done. Yeah, it is. I don't remember.
For sure.
We have others on the wheel because we have Groundhog Day and What About Bob on the wheel because I put
Blues Brothers,
and then we have Dan Aykroyd and the Blues Brothers, and there's got to be
others.
One or two
there's
more.
Got to be quite a lot.
But that'll be so much fun. So in Baltimore, there's a Guinness brewery in Baltimore, and it's the Guinness Blonde Brewery. And actually, they just recently stopped actually making beer there, but they have a really great facility with a great big courtyard, and they do family events, and they have a great restaurant. And last year, I just drove up there to actually grab Christmas gifts for my husband, and because they have a really good Guinness gift shop. And outside, they had their great big huge movie screen, and it was the week of Halloween, and it was Ghostbusters, and they were playing Ghostbusters. They had people dressed up as the characters. They had a great big blow up Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. They had Ecto 1, the car. I have a whole bunch of photos. I was like, and of course, my husband didn't know where I was going there because it was for a Christmas gift for him. But after a while of sitting in the courtyard just watching this film, 2 hours had gone by, and I was like, oh my God, I got to tell my family I'm like out somewhere. They're going to wonder where I am. And I just sent a picture of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and said, I'm here watching Ghostbusters without you all. They were quite jealous. But again, it's one of those films. When you see it, even if you're out shopping for Christmas gifts at a brewery, you have to stop and watch it. You have to stop and watch Ghostbusters.
It's people can cosplay it, saying like it is very iconic. Like what I don't mind too. I think it's very, very good. I think
how many lines? Don't cross the streams, right? We say that all the time. Don't cross. I said it at work the other day. I was like, no, don't mix the spreadsheets. Don't cross the streams. We're here to believe you. I love that line. We're here to believe you. Who you gonna call?
The music.
It's just so much. It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Just iconic.
It's a Tomby raid.
Yeah,
hello,
everybody's
Tomby.
asking.
Hey, Tomby.
And we're getting. What's the next movie? Everybody's asking. Sandy, I'll let you do it as it's your pick. Everybody's thinking, but thank you for the
next
raid.
film is Rear Window, and after that is Ghostbusters. You guys just missed us spin the wheel, and we got
spin the wheel.
Ghostbusters.
Oh, and we have a tie-in to Critters, which we just did because the bowling team's name was a play on Ghostbusters.
Yes,
it was the Pinbusters with the logo and everything.
Right.
Yeah, there we go.
Rear Window next week. I'm going to type
Yeah,
in chat for those who are just dribbling and
yeah,
drabbling in.
dribbling. Yeah. But yeah, so I do like the wheel. Look at that. It just brings up some nice ones as well, doesn't it? It just brings up that they're intelligent, they're thought provoking. Then once you just go, that's a bit of joy. That one's going to be a bit of fun. I think this is. I guess it is a comedy. It's got to be like
It is
a comedy, isn't it? So this is I suppose it's not our kingpin comedy, but it's still a comedy. It's like that. So, but it's
probably
got a bit.
It leans. I guess if you would say, what does it lean into? Does it lean a little? I guess sci-fi. I don't know, fantasy, goofy. It's not horror. It's not scary.
It used to scare when I was a kid, though. The coming out of the fridge bit. And all that.
Yeah, and the library, the lady in the library.
Yeah, that's good. But that's iconic, isn't it? Even though it's scary, like again, it's one of those ones that have been plagiarized in, like, The Simpsons and probably other things. Everything has been.
Oh, for sure. The Keymaster and the Gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we think about Ghostbusters 2? As much as I hate sequels, I don't hate.
I like
Ghostbusters
it. I don't mind it. I like it.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah,
it's all right.
I don't mind it. Yeah, it's what it is. They played it up. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and then. You can the other news
everything after that. I
thought Ghostbusters Afterlife wasn't the worst thing I've seen, but it was definitely
that a new one. Is that the
that was the first of the new two ones.
Okay, yeah, that one.
I haven't seen Frozen Empire because Afterlife didn't do enough for me to really be too interested in it. I thought it was a nice little bit of like a throwback to like some of the respect of the characters and all that, but. I don't love what they did with the story with Egon's character. Obviously, I know, God, the actor's name is slipping my mind, but I know he's passed away. So
Harold Ramis.
Yes, Harold Ramis. He's passed away. So obviously he couldn't really reprise his role, but they kind of turned him into like a kind of a crappy dad, which is kind of where he picked up in the current time, which got better by the end, not to spoil it, but they do something to make it seem like, no, he wasn't a crappy dad. He was just kind of, distant because he had to do this ghost fighting stuff, which was, didn't love it. But the rest of the characters, it was nice to kind of see them come back in something a little bit more respectful to their roles and their characters. But on the whole, it was kind of just a little bit of member berries and just like, what can we do with this franchise now? And
the Frozen one, the latest one, I remember watching it. I couldn't tell you much about it. And that's the problem.
I just kind of skipped it. I'm like, I didn't like Afterlife enough to. Watching Afterlife was like, oh, okay, it was.
I just
nice,
remember
I guess.
feeling, I just watched something.
Yeah,
but it didn't. It had the name Ghostbusters, so it's just like, you put the elements there, but it doesn't have the same feel. And that's it. So, but watching Ghostbusters, kind of things. I'm guessing we're going to have a lot of references. But
Ghostbusters 1 is definitely still the best of any,
and it holds up. And it holds up.
There's apparently there's a game.
And Sigourney Weaver's in it. We forgot about her.
Yeah. I think it's called Ghostbusters the Game or something like that, and it came out a few years back.
Isn't there a Commodore 64 version? I'm sure as well. There's an
old version. I'm sure there's an old version. But this was one that specifically, I think even Dan Aykroyd had said that it was, or maybe it wasn't him, but it's somewhat regarded as kind of a spiritual successor to the second movie. Almost, they kind of look at it a little bit as what Ghostbusters 3 would have been.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
I believe I own it on my PlayStation, but I've never actually played it, so I have to get back to it.
We need some screenshots. We need a demo.
Really cool if I could actually play it this week just to kind of see the story. So we'll see. I don't know how long it takes to beat it, but
there you go.
Apparently, it's like looked at as a sequel of the. See, so Abe knows what I'm talking about. It's been widely looked at. I think even Dan Aykroyd at some point has mentioned that's the third one that we always wanted to do is basically that story. So, that's a cool little tidbit if you happen to want to play the game or anything. But instead we then got Ghostbusters 2016 and then the two new versions. So
but that's what you're saying. Like it's like what we got this year. It's a reboot of something that like this. Or rehash of sequel that you don't need to do, and that was like, why would you even touch that movie? It's just like, but it was all to do it to like get the female element into it. It's just like, let's just switch it, and it was that time when they were doing that, and like, let's switch it with not really thinking, and they didn't. They just went, look, we put the name on it,
and that's what's so great about the Critical Drinkers video is that he really does a great way at putting into words why it's a failure. Like, it's not just the fact that they switched it. It's the way they go about telling jokes and setting up characters that is just, it's not even close to the clever humor and the clever writing that went into the first one. I'll have to share it with you guys in Discord because it's a short video. It's well worth the watch just because it's such a great breakdown from his perspective of exactly why that movie's humor doesn't work. And when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, this is spot on. It's just that, I mean, it's very God, what's the name of that woman who stars in it? She was in like all these comedies for a while. She was in the Bridesmaid movie.
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy, yes. It's very her type of like goofy kind of physical humor mixed
brainless.
With just,
yeah,
just like that low hanging fruit. It's yuck kind of jokes. Like nothing's very clever, nothing's very smart or intelligent. It's just bleh. It's not great.
Anyway,
from what I've seen, I've never seen the whole thing.
Sorry, Jay. Thank you, Sandy. Sandy just gifted
membership.
And
thank you. I got one there.
Michelle Clark, Clissu, Shroom Fishing Trolley, whatever that is, and somebody called Jay Tapia. Never heard of him.
Person.
Really cool sounding guy. I have to get I have to follow that channel.
Matthew Music Corner. All got gifted one. So that's it. So the other people don't know. Jump in the chat. That's it. Yeah. That's a great fishing trolley. I want to know what that is. That a channel?
Yeah, I do too.
I'm kind of like intrigued. That is like I do like when you get.
I'm so excited about Ghostbusters. I wanted to share some memberships.
There we go. Thank you very much, Sandy. And 17 months. I saw that early on as well.
17 months. How on earth is that even possible?
17 months of stasis. You poor thing.
We'll have to do that. But yeah, this has been a bit of fun. I'd say I'm looking forward to the Rear Window. I'm not sure if my girlfriend's seen it. I don't think she's clued up on Hitchcock as much as I am. So it'd be good. But I have not seen it. It comes on, and you have to watch it. I think straight like from the start
pay
to the end.
To it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you have to pay it. Yeah, so when it comes on and it's on,
I don't have it in the background.
Yeah, no, it's not one of those ones. So I hope it's an eye-opening for her as well, and I'm guessing I do think Jade is going to be like, yeah, I get it, I liked it. I think it's a good one. I think it's a good start, things like that, because the obvious one would have been Psycho to come out first of all, but the Wheel did the Wheel for a reason, so that's good there. And then of course we get Ghostbusters, so yeah, it's a good one. So I was like, oh, do the Wheel again, but we won't. We have to drag on because you're like, oh, excited. When you get excited about movies, and that's why Film Club, we've always said it is why it gets us going. And I hope just hoping like guys in the chat, everybody, you're here for the ride as well. You're watching it, just before us, and then or it makes you go, you know what, I want to watch that after the discussion we have, like especially with the Italian Job. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it, so that was a good one. Except for Jay, you're going to be playing some Ghostbusters now, getting the dust off on old.
I want to see that.
What I should, I
would
even consider streaming it, because I do think I have it digitally on PlayStation, so I'll have to set up my capture card again and start doing some things off my PlayStation, because I have quite a few games there that I could play. That's one of the reasons I haven't done a stream in the past few weeks, actually, is that I just haven't had a game I've really wanted to play. I've been a little kind of like just meh on all the games in my library, and nothing really new's out. So I'll have to take a deeper look into what I have in the library, maybe set up the capture card so I can do some PlayStation streaming.
I started up Satisfactory again, and now I remember why I quit in a bit of a rage quit on Satisfactory before. It's the kind of like Factoria, like you're building, you're gathering resources and you're building more things, and you set up all these conveyor belts and all this stuff, and no matter how well you try to plan your factory, you always do something stupid so that later in the game you make your factory pretty much unusable. And so I got so proud of my engineering, and then I got to the point of converting my power over to coal and realized I had effed it all up. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And you can do it with more like, adding extra conveyor belts and stuff, but then it just turns into a tangled mess, which I think that's what the game intends anyway. But my like organized brain can't handle it. So yeah, I've kind of stopped a little bit. It is great, Lisi. It is great. It's just frustrating when you get to that point. Now, Lisa, you said you don't like Psycho. Okay, we'll have to, when that comes up on the wheel of film, we'll all have to see how we all react to Psycho. It's I think each of Hitchcock's films are distinctly different, which is interesting because it's all the same genre.
Yeah.
But he doesn't recycle any of the tropes or any of the, and that's what makes it amazing. And frankly, that's what makes Agatha Christie pretty amazing. Although, you know, given the volumes and volumes of books that she wrote, being the highest selling author of all time. No, it's not J.K. Rowling. It is still to this day, by far, by magnitudes, Agatha Christie. And it always will be. It just always will be, just because of all the books she wrote and how popular she was. But anyway, you know, some little things had to be recycled when you write so many stories. But yeah,
and
Hitchcock,
some classics.
Yeah, Hitchcock is each film is, you could tell he was trying to make a unique work of art. And I guess because for most of the films they weren't books, they were either short stories or ideas or what have you. So anyway, looking forward to quite a few. I know I put Psycho, I don't know if I put Rear Window or someone else, maybe I did. Dial M for Murder is my favorite. The Birds should be on there. North by Northwest should be. There's a lot. There's definitely a lot that we could
the list is gonna grow. Sorry. Yeah. But so Sandy, what else you got coming up on? You gonna do some lives? Are
I'm gonna live stream tomorrow morning. I'm not sure where from, depending on the weather. It may be the zoo tomorrow. I've had so many people in my live streams around Washington, D.C., and it's just been so much fun. New people have found my channel, which is actually just there to log my research. I'm not trying to be a YouTuber in any way, shape, or form, but I absolutely love having people come into the live stream and watching me, you know, walk around Washington and promote the city that I absolutely love as a tourist destination. So I might be, it could be someplace else, but I might be at the National Zoo crack of dawn tomorrow morning. So that's what I'm doing. Jay, what are you working on? I think you're dusting off that PlayStation, right?
Yeah, we may see some of that. I have to take a look and see what's on that library because my Steam library right now has nothing in it that I really want to play. So at some point, some more streams coming back. I promise. I know last week I said this past week, but that didn't happen. So at some point, some more streams coming back. Just got to get a game I want to play, and then more videos. I'll be doing some more recommendation videos. I will be watching Captain America 4 this week, so I'll let you guys know how that is. I'm not entirely sure how it'll be. But yeah, so we'll see what that movie ends up being. So yeah, just keep an eye out for the usual videos, reviews. I got to do some shorts too. I got to start kicking it into gear here, so you'll see some more activity on the channel.
So Jay, could I make a recommendation when you do your review of Captain America 4, because we're looking forward to that.
Cosplay.
Well, that would be fun. But when you do your review, would you set it as a premiere and we can all be in the chat while we're watching?
Oh, I've always considered doing that. I've never tried it before. Maybe I will, because I tend to a lot of the times when I'm doing videos, it's on the weekday. So by the time I'm home from work and finally get the chance to sit down and do it, it's kind of late by the time I'm done. So I'm like, I missed a shot for premiere. So I'm like, let me just get it out so it can start getting views overnight. So maybe I'll watch it Friday instead of premiere for Saturday. That way, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, we'll try to join in if you do a premiere. That'd be
I might be able to do that. We'll see if I can get it done in time. I'd actually like to do that because I'd like to just try out that feature anyways, just to kind of see how it goes. So
yeah. So good, bad, or ugly, we're looking forward to your review, Jay. Absolutely.
Yep, good, bad, or ugly, we're going to get it. And I have a feeling it's going to land on the ugly side, but we'll see. Maybe it's in the mediocre side. I'll take mediocre. That'd be a win at this point.
Seriously.
Let's go up there. For myself, I'm kind of liking, as I'm back to myself, I kind of liking these really like 2-hour games. The worst thing is these 2-hour games seem to be jumpy horror games.
Yeah, they're all scaring the crap out of you.
They're crazy.
I'm like, I don't think I'm a jumpy person. And literally, oh my God.
Your streams say otherwise.
I know. And the worst thing in that one, I could see it and I just went, oh, there it is. And then I jumped anyway. I was like, oh my. But that Egyptian one,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just came across it, like I'd tell Viper about it, and then like yeah, it just happened. That was a really good solid 2-hour game. Absolutely. I recommend anybody get. But I've got a couple I've got on like in my library I've got now. That just like a good like 2-3 hour maybe. Depending if you get stuck, probably I will do, or have a heart attack. Just up there, and I was like, you know what? They look fun. They're like them kind of fun. Chat seems to be really enjoying watching me. To be frank, I'm pooping my pants most of the time. It's like I just didn't realize I was that bad. Like I didn't realize it. I was like, no, I'm all right. It's only a horror game. Jeez, and I don't really play them. Like the most I'm gonna get back in the day, I suppose, to sound old, is a Resident Evil, but I didn't find them scary because they're a shoot 'em up. So it's a bit of a puzzle. These ones are really sick, disturbing people make them, and then I'm just in there for the ride. And then just having to laugh at myself afterwards of like, oh my, I sound like a little pansy. So yeah, it's gonna do more of those ones. And I'd like, it's good to like just do 2 hours and complete a game. It's like satisfying afterwards. So yeah, I'm gonna do a few more days. I've got a couple. Going to be hit or miss with some of them, of course, but yeah, it's good to do the long games, I suppose. And then these ones have been thoroughly fun. So yeah, when I haven't got a bit,
it's fun to watch you. It's fun to watch you jump, scream, laugh, scream, and that whole thing. It's hilarious.
It is terrible. I'm just like I sometimes when you watch back, like, how bad was that? And I'm like, oh my, like. They look like an absolute like idiot, but yeah, it's fun. I do like playing them, but I should like. It's one of those ones where it's getting to like a love-hate relationship with them, because I'm like, I really don't like playing them, but I can't stop. And then you're like, I know, and it's like when you play those kind of games, you know it's gonna happen, and you know they're setting it up. And even to that point where you can see what's coming around the corner, I still scream. I'm like, ah! So it's like, some of the shorts that come out of it are quite funny, I must say. So I'm going to do a couple of those, and then, of course, the Rear Window, and then on to Ghostbusters. And then, of course, we'll find out on Ghostbusters what's next and who we got to call, of course. But yeah, if you guys, it's been great. Another coherent, no glitches, the Matrix didn't roll over us like last time with technical glitches from Jay, illness halfway through stream by me. So yeah,
we made it through congestion free this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's been good. And guys, I hope you enjoyed the again our little film club here, and you've had a lot of little laughs and a lot of fun with our breakdown of the Italian Job. And if you haven't seen it, we all recommended it. Go and have a watch. And by next week, you got a little mystery, you got a little bit of homework, the Rear Window. But until next time, we'll check out each other's channel. Sandy's going live tomorrow. So what time would that be, like your time?
Probably about 8 a.m. Eastern time. So 1 p.m. with the UK people.
Yeah, so yeah, everybody can look in the UK. You can just watch you whilst they're having lunch then. So that's it. But everybody have a great one. And remember, check out Jay's channel. He's just subbed my channel, so that's a new member. So he's got like loads of things now. That's it. But everybody have a great one, and we'll catch you in the next film club. Bye for now.